In a world where voices are silenced, one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once,
40 years they've been trying.
not twice,
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
but 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide Podcast with Luke Boner. And he's not
All right, here we go.
done
Hold your ears, folks.
yet.
It's showtime.
Well, good morning, Australia, and to use the words of the great man, hello, world. Here we are with another episode of the Bonafide Podcast. In fact, it's episode 91, which is groundbreaking stuff, and we nearly didn't make it this morning because there were some technical glitches that weren't my fault today.
Yes.
Millennial,
First time.
we had got Scotty Phillips ready to go. We've got the vice captain ready to go. We've got Thomas, the tank engine man, ready to go. We said 5:15. It's 10 to 6
Yes.
on the 19th of March, year of our Lord, 2026. But there's an old saying, better late than never. And there's another old saying, the show must go on. So what happens, folks, is when we do the podcast, the millennial and myself, and sometimes Thomas the Tank Man, we do what's called our ins and outs, and we have a little chat. We talk about current issues, and we announce what's coming up on the podcast. And Kelsey came up with the brainwave. Why don't we do it live?
Yes, I did.
Let's let people eavesdrop on what's going on. Now, when we record, it's very handy because Kelsey can get the scissors and the sticky tape out and we can make things sound a little bit better. But this is live and unfettered, which is going to be a little bit dangerous, but that's what I'm used to. So here we go. Welcome along.
Yes. Our camera has already decided to have an extreme close-up of Luke's face. Are you ready for this?
No, we don't want that.
Oh, too bad. So sad.
No, see, this is why.
Look at your face.
Oh, no. Well, look, there it is. I'll look away. Look away. Great face for radio. So there's a lot going on that we want to talk about today and a big podcast coming up. And if you are listening to us live, please call in. How's the cost of living affecting you today? Interesting to note that the Prime Minister today is calling a national cabinet meeting to try and solve our problems. It's interesting, isn't it, that about a week ago, Chris Bowen, the Energy Minister, stood up in Parliament and said, no petrol shortage, nothing to see here, everything's arriving on time and don't panic buy. 2 days later, national emergency. So far so that we are now having a national cabinet meeting to try and put some sort of infrastructure in so that Australia, to use the Prime Minister's words, can be self-sufficient and introduce legislation that will make sure that Australia doesn't get into this mess again. It's funny, isn't it, how this kind of decision-making is what we call reactive. And what we need, folks, is proactive governments. Now, let me just say this. Back in the 1970s, we had an international fuel shortage because of wars going on in the Middle East, and it affected everybody. In 1983, there was an Arab oil embargo and that went from 73 to 1974, and then in 1979, national fuel shortages because of the Iranian Revolution. And governments worldwide exercised emergency powers to drastically reduce oil consumption. Sound familiar? Oh, it's deja vu all over again, as Rex Mossop would have said. So now we have the government and all the states getting their heads together to try and work out how we could avoid this happening again. Well, why did we shut down our fuel refineries? Why did we shut down coal-fired power stations? Why is it that the IEA the International Energy Authority, of which Australia is a member, the IEA recommends that member countries store 90 days worth of fuel. Australia has only ever stored between 30 and 35 days. You got to ask yourself why. Why do we rely on the Middle East and Asia? And most of our petrol is either stored in America or in Singapore, and then it comes over on a tanker. Tankers run on fuel, by the way, to bring us our fuel. We survive on the cost of living, and it's only going to get worse. Now, this morning, I see on the news that petrol theft is surging in South Australia. In fact, it's up by a third just today, March the 19th. Why? Because you absolutely need fuel to get around and to run a business, and it's expensive at the moment. Now, I was on 2GB earlier this morning on a thing called the Boner Report, and a caller came through. His name was, I think, Sharpie. And he said where he was in Western Sydney, there were already lines and lines of cars queuing up for fuel. And at this particular fuel station, the price overnight had gone up 70 cents a litre. Now, I'm telling you now, that service station didn't buy their fuel yesterday. They bought it nearly 2 weeks ago at a certain price, and yet they've inflated the price. And this is what the ACCC is supposed to be all about. The ACCC has got to stop being a toothless tiger, a bit like ACMA, and I'll get to that later.
Oh, my God.
Because the Sydney radio ratings come out today, and Kyle and Jackie O have been gone from the airwaves about 2 weeks now, so I don't know what sort of a dent it'll have on Sydney's ratings, but it'll be an interesting indication. But we'll get back to the ACCC and petrol. The cost of fuel relates to everything we do, not just transport. And this country runs on diesel. Trucks that deliver our fruit and veggies and meat and groceries to Coles and Woolies and Aldi and IGA and every other supermarket arrive by truck. Now, if you live in the city, no matter what city you live in, you may be able to find public transport to get to work, or because of COVID, you've learnt to work from home. You cannot deliver groceries to a supermarket on Zoom.
Yeah.
It has to get there on a truck that runs on diesel. The farmers that are harvesting the much-needed crops, the fruit, the veggies, the grain that the sheep and the cattle eat, it's all run by farm machinery that's run off diesel. There are no electric headers. There are no electric harvesters. There aren't any electric tractors. They run off diesel. And so Anthony Albanese, in his wisdom, has called for drastic measures, and it's interesting to see what they'll come up with today. Now, let me just take you back a bit, because, Thomas, you and the millennial were around in the 1970s, but I remember it. And I remember petrol rationing. I wonder how many people listening to us right now remember those days. You had the odds and even number plate rationing. Several countries did this, and drivers could only purchase fuel on designated days. Fuel rationing and retail restrictions. There were even days when you could not fill up your tank. Some petrol stations shut down on weekends and refused fuel even to emergency workers. And then what happened on Monday? Queues and queues and queues of traffic trying to get fuel, and the panic buying only escalated. Now, New Zealand has come up with an idea, and it'll be interesting to keep an eye on our friends across the ditch. They have said, well, we might have to go back to those fuel rationing days and take emergency action because of what's going on right now. And in fact, the New Zealand Finance Minister revealed that they're reviewing legislation that was first introduced back in the 70s. Under those laws, car owners, and New Zealand's looking at this, will have to nominate 1 day a week when they would not use their vehicle. And you face hefty fines. and you put a sticker on the back of your car and you say, my designated non-driving day is Wednesday. If that car is seen on the road, you get a fine. And people are going to be shocked saying, we live in a dictatorship. This is Nazi Germany. I remember during COVID, Thomas, that I needed a piece of paper, and I've kept it in my wallet all these years because I'm going to show it to my grandchildren, where because I worked in radio, it was considered an essential service to broadcast emergency messages. Remember this? And it was a piece of paper. So if we were pulled over by the police because there was a curfew, you couldn't get into the city, you had to show your piece of paper to say, yes, you were allowed to travel. Reminds you of 1939 in Germany, doesn't it, when you needed travel documents to leave your town. But it happened, and people said, it can't possibly happen. Well, I'm telling you now it happened. So what do you do? Because it's all about feeding your family, putting a roof over your head, and a double whammy, and I can't wait to talk to Scotty Phillips. Let me know when he's on the line. Because this week, the Reserve Bank, in its wisdom, put interest rates up again, which is going to put an extra burden on households. Now, the Reserve Bank did this using monthly figures. Well, surely you wait for the quarterly figure to come out in May. I mean, the monthly figures can ebb and flow. But if you waited until May just to take the edge off the cost of living for people, I think that would have made much more sense. But I'm not an economist. Scotty Phillips is, and we'll talk to him about that. I remember hearing on Ben Fordham on 2GB, I think it was yesterday, Mark Burris from Yellow Brick Road. He totally agrees with what I'm saying. Just ease off. Don't hit the panic button. Leave interest rates where they are. Well, it's too late now. It's too late now. So the cost of living. How are you coping? I'd love to hear from you. And do you remember the petrol rationing of the 1970s? I'll give you another example.
Oh, God.
Because, I lived a lot in regional Australia when I worked on regional radio, and I lived on farms where we had water tanks. And it's then and only then that you realise what a precious resource water is. I mean, you can. If the worst thing happened, you could survive without fuel. You could survive without petrol. You could survive without electricity. You cannot survive without water.
Yeah.
So in times of drought, we had water rationing, odds and evens.
Yeah.
You could only water between this hour and this hour. And people accepted that.
Yeah.
But now that the drought's over and Warragamba Dam is now back to nearly 100%, what's happened? Nothing. No more infrastructure has been put in place. Since the last drought, since the last time Australians were asked to ration their watering, has another dam been built to harvest this precious resource? No, it hasn't. We have known that we are reliant and we are living so precariously on fossil fuels for our survival, and it's happened in the past and nothing's been done. In fact, the opposite. We've taken away the infrastructure or let it rot. And here we are.
We love the news. Something to think about, something to laugh about. We're talking.
I'm trying to scroll my...
Yeah, he's not having a very good time with the scrolling. Now, Luke, I believe we have got Scotty on the line. Can you...
Yeah. Scotty Phillips from the Motley Fool. G'day, buddy.
Luke, good morning. Good to be with you, mate.
Well, it's a bit later than we told you. I'm sorry about that. But
It's all right.
it gave you time to, do what you have to do in the morning.
Have a coffee, wake up.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if you heard my opening rant, but I don't think we've learned anything from the fuel crisis of the 1970s. And here we are again. And then and the cherry on top was the Reserve Bank putting interest rates up this week. Scotty, your thoughts on all of this? Because, as I said in my opener, the Prime Minister today is having a national cabinet meeting to try and get his head around all this and come up with solutions. It's very reactive. It's not very proactive. He'll say he's being proactive, but we should have done something a long time ago, shouldn't we?
Oh, mate, as you say, the oil crisis of the 70s, even COVID of 2020. I mean, we learned we didn't have enough PPE in the country, we didn't have enough vaccines in the country. What do? You build some either capacity to produce or you build massive stockpiles. It's not a difficult conversation. It beggars belief that we don't have 3 months of fuel just sitting around just in case. Because the thing is, we're going to use it. It doesn't go off. You use the 91st day of supply. You add another day when the stuff comes in. You just rotate through your stock. Every retailer knows you keep the shelves full. When the new stuff comes in, you put it at the back. You take the stuff off the front, and away we go. It is absolute madness to me, mate. It would cost us almost nothing. The carrying cost to be bugger all, much less than the price spikes we've been paying recently. We've learnt nothing from any of those situations because we just don't have enough long-term thinking. No one's saying, you know what, let's allow for those eventualities so that in the very unlikely event we need them, they're actually there. The benefit is far, far outweighs the cost. And then as you say, mate, we've also got, that wouldn't solve high prices, by the way, because eventually we run down that supply. You want to have a stockpile so that if we run out, if it's unavailable, you've got it to keep the country literally moving. You've got plenty of truckie listeners and other people want to get out in their cars and trucks this morning doing stuff. That's the real challenge. So, yeah, you've got to have that. And then, as I said, prices will have risen anyway because international supply and demand is a thing. But we're not ready to deal with it. And as you say, on top of that, we've had a rate rise this week because inflation is simply too high and going to get worse.
Okay, let's start with that rate rise. Why would the Reserve Bank put rates up using monthly figures? Why not wait for the quarterlies?
Yeah, they could. And it comes down to looking forward and saying how bad do we think it's going to be by then. So here's if it delays the inevitable, we all know that a pinch of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So if you think it's going to get worse, you get ahead of it to make sure that it doesn't get out of control or even worse before you act, in which case they might have had to do more. So that's why they're doing it. They're looking at things going, well, we know where we are. We think we know where we're going. We don't really need the exact numbers by then. Treasury said somewhere between 4.5 and 5 fours. Treasurer Chalmers is saying this morning it might be 5%. So I think everybody thinks, and look, I'd love everyone to be wrong about that forecast, right? That'd be the best case scenario. But everyone thinks inflation is going to go up. And so if you know it's going to happen, it's like, when you're driving a car, you apply the brake before you get to the corner. You don't wait to the apex and then slam on the anchors and try and stop the vehicle. So it's kind of that idea of we see the thing in the future. We see it's got red flashing lights coming towards us. We're going to start to slow down now and swerve, or choose your analogy, to try and deal with prices before they get worse.
Okay. But if the price of fuel, whether it be diesel or petrol, and both, they go hand in hand, if that goes up and is in rare supply, the price of manufacturing anything goes up, the price of delivering anything goes up, and that will affect us at a grassroots level and the price of our groceries at Coles and Woolies and Aldi and wherever. And that's if they can get there. So the cost of living... Let's look at groceries. For some reason, Coles came up with a magic figure of $150 a week, and I don't know where that figure came from, but that was the figure. The Supermarket Executive Challenges, it was called, and back in 2016-17, Coles, then managing director John Durkham, he challenged company leadership and suppliers to buy a week's worth of food for a family of 4 for just $150, and he said, yeah, it could be done. Now, I don't know if our listeners can buy enough groceries for a family of 4 for $150, but that's going to be $160 next week.
Yep, got to be. It gives you a vegetarian these days to get away with that for a family of 4 for $150. You can't buy meat in that, white or red meat in that number and get to $150. I don't reckon these days. Look, you're right. It is absolutely going to go up, and this is why inflation is so insidious, mate. Because it was $150 previously. It would have been $100 before that. It would have been $50 before that. It'll be $200 when we talk about this in a couple of years' time, because prices always rise. That's the fundamental challenge, and the real issue isn't actually the price itself. I mean, it matters. We're making inflation and monetary supply and all that kind of stuff this morning. It matters mostly only when your wage is not increasing fast enough to cover it. If grocery prices go up 10%, my wage goes up 11%, I'm sweet. If groceries go up 10%, my wage goes up 9 or 8 or 7%, then I'm in the hole. And that's why people are struggling. Not so much the price going up per se, though that is it, but wages aren't keeping up. And Michelle Bullock has not said this out loud, probably for, we just want to annoy the Treasurer probably. But the reality is our issue is that when prices go up more quickly than usual, that 2 to 3%, it's almost impossible for wages to keep up. So the real issue isn't even the price. The issue is when prices go up so quickly, it's just impossible for anyone to catch up. Not only does the price go up, but our wages don't match it, and we get less for our money. That's the fundamental challenge of inflation. That's why rates, I've talked about this before on your podcast, that's why rates are so important in this fight. And it's why, even though it makes things worse in the short term, particularly for mortgage payers, or specifically for mortgage payers, the long term is if it can get prices to stop rising, then rates can fall. And so you end up with that. That's the better choice overall. If you don't increase rates and just let prices do their thing, when was the last time other than fruit and veg and petrol you saw prices fall? It never happens. And so that's why it's so insidious.
The conservative side of Australian politics would say, the reason we have such high inflation is because of government spending. Is that fair or unfair?
It's fair in the sense of the size of that inflation. Inflation is a global phenomenon. We've had it since COVID. We aren't Robinson Crusoe. So that, government's the cause of inflation. No, not even slightly close. But the reality is we have higher inflation than almost anywhere else in the OECD, the kind of the richest 20 or so countries in the world. Why? Because we have got a combination of private spending and government spending that is too high. And here's the key. This is where that side of politics is right. I don't really care about the sides personally, but where the critics are right, because I said the same thing, governments are spending more than they're collecting in tax. They're running a deficit, right? Now, if you are spending more than you're earning, you're creating stimulus in the economy. You're adding to economic activity. You're adding to demand. What's the RBA doing? Trying to pull demand out of the economy. They're trying to pull things back and say, no, things are running too hot. And so, yes, the government is absolutely responsible for two things. Firstly, not helping the RBA. Secondly, making the RBA's job worse. It's just objectively true because they're running a deficit while the RBA is trying to suck money out of the economy. The Reserve Bank's pulled the plug and the government's just turned the tap on harder.
Yep.
And so that's the challenge.
Okay, but if we have 3 consecutive quarters of negative growth, that's a recession. Is this the recession we had to have, as Paul Keating once said?
Jim Chalmers would be silly enough to say that, but possibly, mate, if it gets to that point, yes. I mean, I desperately hope not, right? We all do, because that means unemployment, it means business failures. It's awful. The thing is, prices are up more than 25% since the beginning of 2020. That means you miss the $150 challenge. You're buying now for $100 what used to cost $75 back in the day. And that's the challenge, right? So effectively, you've got less to go around. Now, you've got a little bit of a wage increase. Most people have got something extra, but nowhere near inflation for almost anybody. And so we are going backwards. And yes, honestly, if our purchasing power is down 10 or 15%, and we have to go through a recession that takes 1 or 2 percentage points off economic activity and causes a recession, it sounds weird to say, right? We've been so used to fearing the bogeyman or boogeyman of the recession that we're trying to avoid it at all costs. I think that's what the RBA has actually caused the problem doing. They're so desperate to not have a capital R recession. And look, it's awful, don't get me wrong, I don't want one either. But if that ends up being the cost of killing inflation dead for another couple of decades, it's absolutely well worth paying. And it sounds callous and it sounds ridiculous and everyone's recoiling right now and saying, how could you possibly say that? I can say it because that's what the math tells us, that's what the economics tells us, that making everybody's lives permanently worse is far worse than a short, hopefully sharp recession where we go, well, that sucked, now we're through it, now we're going with growth again. That would actually be a really good result. Now, I don't want the recession, we can do it without one, so I'm not for a second arguing for it, and that's where Keating got it wrong, saying we had to have it. It was the recession he couldn't have avoided, given the circumstances, and that it doesn't play in a soundbite. But if we have to have one, it will be better than letting inflation run rampant. The third option, of course, the bit in between we hope we can do is get inflation under control without going backwards.
Yeah. Now, I said this during the week and I'll put it to you, and the news that I just saw on the Sunrise News Bulletin this morning was that petrol theft is on the rise, and they said Adelaide, in particular South Australia. When something is necessary and expensive, people either pay for it or they don't. I mean, look at the tobacco industry, right? Look at the illegal tobacco industry. You have something that's highly addictive. You make the price unachievable for most people. It creates a black market. Now, we have seen petrol theft happen before, and I was worried that it was going to happen again, and it is. Now, I wonder if we are going to see petrol station attendants back in business, where they
Did we ever have them?
Oh, Kelsey, did we have them?
Did we?
They were called service stations, and a little man in a uniform would come out, and he'd say, "Just lift your bonnet." There was a trigger on the petrol where you could lock it on. He'd go and check your oil. He'd check your water. He'd check your tyres.
Oh, he'd do it all.
Clean your windscreen. And while you were filling up, and that's how, and then they got rid of them, like the self checkout at supermarkets.
Yeah,
and you did it yourself. I wonder if we're going to see the service stations put a lock on those pumps until and a minimum of $50. I'm just making this up as I go along. $50 limit per customer. It locks off at $50, and you've got to pay for it before you can leave.
Well, something that one of our listeners actually sent us, Damo, a story from Tasmania. There's a petrol company in Tasmania, and their staff have said that they've faced 3 weeks of escalating abuse and vandalism following wholesale prices linked to the conflict in the Middle East. And the other day in the podcast, Luke, I told you to calm down. There's not going to be people stealing, blah, 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 blah. And then I will admit.
And what happened? I was right.
I saw a story quite literally.
So now I want to hear it from you.
Yes, you were right.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I saw a story quite literally that morning saying that, people were just legging it from petrol stations and not paying.
Yeah, I know. And I knew it would happen. I've seen it happen before. Scotty, when I was on 2GB earlier this morning, we got a caller from a bloke, I think it was Sharpie. I've written the names down. God, we had some calls this morning on this. And he was in Western Sydney, and he saw a service station with a queue a mile long of people trying to get in. And this was at 4:30. It was at 4:30 this morning, Sydney time. And the price of the fuel, according to the caller, had gone up 70 cents a litre overnight. Now, if that isn't price gouging, because there's no way the fuel at that service station was bought yesterday at an inflated price of 70 cents a litre.
Yeah, that's right. And this is all the flow-on effects. We're talking about this. I'm talking about supply, right? Why is it going up? Because we need the fuel. There's no alternative. We worry about running out. So to some degree, they're absolutely gouging. The flip side, though, is why can they get away with it? Because we all panicked like we did in toilet paper and during COVID.
Yeah.
And went and filled up the tank. So all of a sudden we created now. It's a tragedy of the commons, right? I didn't create it, you didn't create it, but someone else did. Now I'm thinking, well, hang on, if you're going to do it, I better do it, because if you do it, I might run out. And so it creates those conditions that we all feel like we need to panic. Because there's a saying in finance, if you're going to panic early. And that's kind of what happened. Everyone went, well, hang on, if I don't get it, you'll get it. And if you get it, I won't have any left to get. So I guess I better do it, not because I want to panic, because I think you might. And so that kind of, messes with your head at some level. But that's what happened. And so that's why we've got a problem. There is gouging. I think in terms of theft, mate, we see plenty of servos do overnight, prepayment before you get the fuel. I reckon that's probably the most likely scenario. In the States, in a lot of Europe, you have to prepay before you get the fuel already in normal times, let alone in times like these. So I reckon you're probably right, mate. I think we'll see a lot more of that. People saying, you know what, just either use the terminal, the kind of, a lot of them have got the FOS terminals at the houses, or you got to go and pay first before you get the fuel. It's tough. And I mean, I don't know. The thing is, if you're stealing fuel, you're not doing it because you think you're going to get away with it necessarily. You're doing it because you think you've got no other choice. And that's kind of the bigger problem is we are at that situation.
What an absolute drag on police resources as well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Scotty, we've got a question here from Justin. He wants to know what to expect in a recession if we went into one.
Cool, good question. So the answer is we don't know. They're always different, right? But generally speaking, what you end up with, the biggest thing you notice is a massive rise in unemployment, unfortunately. Now, we're at 4.1% now. A mild recession, we probably go to something like 6.5% from here. If it gets really bad and drags out for a long period of time, you could see 8 or 9%. And that's why they're so awful, right? Because it means 1 in 20 people listening to you now loses their job in that situation. We will see sales, as in retail sales, go backwards. Obviously, when it's negative growth, right? We'll see business failures, businesses that are kind of on the cusp right now. So, hang on, what are we dealing with? Higher rent, higher energy prices, higher insurance premiums, higher wages. Now I've got less sales. I can't pay the bills, and we will see businesses fail as well. And that's why, I mean, it's logical, it's reasonable. We say, well, we don't want that. Of course you don't. So that's why it's so awful, and that's why very reasonable people very reasonably say we should do what we can to avoid that recession. What we've got to be really careful of, and not in Justin's question, but just to answer it in full, is we don't want to, we don't want to destroy the village in order to save it. In other words, we could avoid a recession in lots of ways. But what that might mean is a bigger problem down the track. Governments could flood the country with money. We could all borrow more money to keep spending going. And at some point, the bill comes due. And at that point, you go, well, I've got to pay it now. And when that happens, the recession is even worse because you've made those things much, much, much worse on the way through. So as I said about the pinch of prevention and pound of cure, if you're going to have a recession or if you're going to have a slowdown of any sort, have it early. Have it when you can kind of deal with the root cause and then get back on the horse. If you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and then try and deal with it, then that's when you get yourself in even worse trouble. And that's when the fall, the recession becomes either a really deep and long one or potentially becomes a depression, and nobody wants that. So Yeah, it's ugly, it's messy, and that's why no one wants to say we should have one, and we shouldn't. No one ever should say that. But it's why one might be less worse, because we're in a land of trade-offs, right? It might be less worse than not having one in the first place.
Scott Morrison, during COVID, reduced the fuel excise. Now, the fuel excise is at 51 cents a litre. You just think about that, folks. 51 cents to every dollar you put in your car is government excise. It's a tax, which is supposed to go towards the roads. Is it time, if Anthony Albanese is going to a national cabinet meeting today, do you think that would be on the agenda? Should they reduce the fuel excise to give folks who are doing it really tough a little bit of a helping hand? Now, no government likes to say we're going to take away a tax, and it wouldn't. And there was pressure on Morrison. I think he got it down to 22 cents. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. And there was a lot of pressure on Morrison going into an election to keep it there, but he said we can't. But he did put it down. Is it time to reduce the fuel excise? What would the repercussions be?
More inflation, unfortunately. The excise was half, mate, from 44.2 cents it was then to 22.1 cents. Your reflection is spot on. It would cause more inflation. It's the same as the energy subsidies that were provided by the current government. Now, Morrison needed to do it, and it was right to do in that context because we needed to boost economic activity, not to make things cheaper for people. And that feels like the same thing, but it's not. So we wanted during COVID, Morrison got a lot of things wrong. He got a couple of things right. And the things he got right were he went big and fast. There's an old line from the GFC, there's big, fast and households is what Treasurer Swan was advised at the time. And that's exactly what Morrison did, and he did it right as Swan did it right during the cash flash of the GFC, because it meant we kept confidence in the economy. We kept people spending, because at that point the issue wasn't inflation. It was, well, it turned out to be inflation afterwards, but at the time it was, let's make sure we don't have a recession, and if we cut excise for a bit of time, things will be a bit better. And it was the right thing to do. Now, this time around, if you take, here's the problem with supply and demand, right? If you take, let's say you halve petrol excise tomorrow, what are people going to do? Are they going to save the difference? No, they're going to go and spend it somewhere else. And what you're effectively simply doing is moving deck chairs. The inflation is set at, and this is a bit of economics jargon, but I'll keep it simple. And I'll keep it simple. Your listeners are smart, I'll try and keep it in normal language. Aggregate total demand and aggregate total supply, the interaction of those two things is what causes inflation. In other words, it's the total of everything we spend on everything we buy, and the interaction of supply and demand set prices. If you take the fuel price down, fuel would be cheaper, but people would spend money somewhere else, and that stuff would be more expensive.
Would they though?
Absolutely.
I don't think they would. The cost of living is already so bloody high. It's just like stacking and stacking and stacking. Trust me, I did a whole podcast I literally did a podcast about the share market, right? So I know a lot about this. I know a lot about the economy. But like me personally, even if fuel prices went down, I'm not going to go spend that money somewhere else because I'm just trying to pay my bloody mortgage, you know?
Which has gone up.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? I hear that's what you plan to do, and I'm sure in the short term, actually, and frankly, you're a smart lady, you would do that, right? And that's great. What I think what we know from honestly from economic experience for years is the national savings rate, effectively how much of what we earn we keep, doesn't change, and it normally goes down over time, except when we have economic shocks. And so even if you kind of go, now I might save that money, and you personally might. We know at economy-wide level, the stats tell us that people don't. They go and spend the money. And that's kind of where either you might be different to most people, or maybe you think you will and you won't. And I don't know which one you'll do, Kelsey. You'll make your own decisions up. But we know at a total economic level, that's what people do. They take the savings. It happened during the energy subsidies. You take the savings from here, you go and spend it there. You don't deliberately do it. You just kind of go, well, I've got some money left in the pocket. I did want to buy that steak instead of the mince today. I'll go and buy that because I've got a few bucks left. Yeah. Or I need to replace the computer, or I need to fix the car, and I've actually got the money to do it, so I guess I'll do it now.
I know
it doesn't feel right. Go on.
I just feel like there are so many other pressures outside of, the individual's control that affect this.
Yeah. Oh, totally. That's why it's not. It's really. So we're trading off least worst outcomes here. It is not fair at individual level at all in the slightest. You're 100% right. That's the world we're living in. The challenge is that we all, as a group, none of it's fair individually, but the national impact is still the same. All right. And so you kind of got to say it sucks, but what can we do at a national level to help fix it? And making the right decisions economically is really, really important. You know what they should be doing right now? No one will agree with this, and this is why it's tough. The government should have a surplus right now. Now, if it did, everyone would be saying they're collecting a surplus. We're doing it tough. We want some of that money back. They're taxing us too much. A surplus would reduce demand. A surplus would actually help with inflation. A surplus would keep interest rates low. But in the event at the time, and not everybody, and your listeners are smart people, probably not them, but you betcha you'd have people on the radio, on the TV, and the newspaper saying, those greedy bastards in Canberra, they're taking all our money. They've got a surplus. Well, I'm doing it tough. I need some back. I need a tax cut. I'm doing it tough. And they would be right, except that economically we know if they run a surplus, they take money out of the economy, that'd be reducing demand, and that would mean we're paying lower prices and paying lower interest rates. We just don't see it. All we see is the money that's in our bank accounts.
Yeah. It's very interesting stuff. You're a star, Scotty Phillips. Motley Fool, how do people find you?
They can go to fool.com.au if they want. Look, otherwise listen to the Bonafide podcast because I'm on with you all the time. It's great.
Oh, yeah. We've got to have our capitalism debate soon, Scotty.
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready for it. Tell me.
Yeah, next time I need to do some research.
It'll be fun.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? Scotty Phillips from the Motley Fool. I mean, you think about the price rise in fuel and everything will go up. I was just thinking about people who were going to build a home, and this joins up with the housing crisis in Australia. So let's say a builder has given you a quote to build your home.
Yeah.
Right? Thomas the Tank Engine Homes Proprietary Limited.
Yeah.
And they've given you a quote, and they've calculated that quote at that time. And in the meantime, the cost of materials goes up because the cost of shipping them or getting them to your property has gone up. The builder's bills have gone up because he's running a diesel, or he's running a vehicle or a number of vehicles. And so does he stick to that contract and take a loss, or does he say we're going to have to rip up this contract? Because we've seen many builders go bust over the last 10 years because of exactly this. It's going to exacerbate that. And one thing with Thomas, you don't drive, you rely on public transport and Ubers. Ubers and Didi on the news this morning are going to have to put their prices up because their costs have gone up. Oh. So that's going to go up for you, Thomas. And it's going to affect absolutely everybody.
Yeah. Well, interesting. There's a comment here from Corey. He said, we've had 2 trucks last weekend siphoned for diesel while it was parked at the drivers' houses as we take our trucks home for the weekend. It is getting a bit like the wild, wild west out there, isn't it?
Well, it's Mad Max. If you watch the movie Mad Max 2, it's all about the world fuel shortage after a nuclear disaster, and people are killing each other for fuel. Have a look at Mad Max 2 again.
No, it's a bit too...
Isn't it, eh? Speaking of taxis, our local taxi company,
oh God,
Manly Taxis, is in the hands of receivers.
Yeah.
Because of ride shares taking over. The price surging, I get. Yes, it costs more to get into a ride share. I'll use Uber, but I'm not picking on Uber. But it costs you more to use an Uber when there's a grand final on, or New Year's Eve, or when there's a large event. And that's supposed to help the customer because it means that there's a bigger incentive for drivers to get out there and be available. I wonder, our listeners, are you happy with the taxi service, or have you completely punted taxis and gone to a ride share? I have a Uber app on my phone. I've never used it. I don't know how, but maybe I need to learn.
Yeah.
Especially where I live because there's no more Manly taxis.
Oh, boo. Now, Luke, I wanted to talk to you about something. So, no. It's just a story that I saw.
All right. I thought I was in trouble.
Now, do you think there is such a thing as a supermarket etiquette?
Yes.
What's your version of supermarket etiquette?
Well, there's a number of different things. Don't hog the aisle. I mean, don't park your trolley right in the middle of the aisle so no one can get past you. Move it to one side. Are you allowed to sample? If you want to see how good the grapes are, can you taste one before you buy, or is that stealing? And if you are, can you take 2? Can you take 3? What else? Don't cover your mouth when you cough.
How do you feel about
you?
Hey. You know, I actually only do that around
me and my fridge when it's open.
Yes. No, but how do you feel about people going shirtless?
No. You don't shop with.
You don't shop.
You don't shop without a shirt on? Would you go into a restaurant without a shirt on?
No, of course not. How do you feel about shoes.
Don't let your kids run around. Be in control of your children. Children running around, bouncing balls, pulling things off the shelves, getting under your feet. Have control of your children, for God's sake.
Yeah. So there was a story, I think it was in like news.com.au, where an etiquette expert was saying that Australians are a bit too laid back when it comes to Australian supermarkets, saying that it crosses the line even in the country's famously laid back culture. And she is talking about going to the supermarket topless. Now, I think if you're in Bondi, you're down at the beach, I've got no problems with you, going to the supermarket with your shirt off. I'm not the shirt police. But also, like you said, Luke, blocking aisles with trolleys, keeping phone calls at a reasonable volume,
yes.
being ready at the checkout, supervising children, and giving others personal space. Corey, again, he commented saying, I can't stand when you go out for a meal and people chewing with their mouth open and wear, I think that's meant to say gross deodorant when you go shopping as people smell their own armpits. Do you smell your own armpits?
No, but can I tell you something you should never do?
What?
When you go, whenever you're out somewhere and you go into the restroom, no matter how good that hand pump soap smells, never walk out smelling your fingers. It's not a good look.
Oh.
It's not a good look.
That's not surprising.
What do you make of the Jackie and Kyle thing? Because from a radio point of view, it's been fascinating to watch. The Sydney radio ratings come out later on today, and even though Kyle and Jackie O have only been off the air for a couple of weeks, I don't know what sort of a dent it'll have. The next survey, it certainly will. But we are talking about a hell of a lot of money and a contract that ARN should never, ever, ever have been party to. $200 million over 10 years. It's just, look, the Kyle and Jackie O shtick is not my kind of radio, but it's very successful for them. And they have dominated FM. Now, folks, when you hear the Kyle and Jackie O show has been number one for years, it hasn't. It's been very successful on FM. Why do people keep separating AM from FM when the advertising pie goes everywhere and it looks at ratings everywhere? Ben Fordham has won nearly every survey. Kyle and Jackie O only won one survey outright, but they've always dominated FM. However, ARN released a statement via the ASX saying that Kyle will no longer be on the air. He's been sacked. Kyle released a statement saying that he disagrees with that. He doesn't accept it, and it's now going into the hands of lawyers. Either way, millions and millions of dollars are going to change hands here, whether or not it's seen that Kyle was sacked unfairly or did ARN broke or breach the contract that he had with them, and he wants about $88 million left. I think ARN are absolutely desperate to get out of this ridiculous $200 million deal.
Obviously.
But lawyers are going to get rich out of this.
Yeah.
Lawyers are going to get absolutely rich out of this. Do you know what? With most of these unfair dismissal or contract breaching legal dramas, most of it is settled out of court.
Yeah.
I hope this goes to court because as a spectator, I want to hear and read everything that's gone on beneath the surface. I doubt it'll get to court, but I would love it to go to court.
Yeah. Now, Luke, I have a special guest on the line, Mr. Adam McDonald.
Oh, the vice captain is back. G'day, buddy.
The vice captain's here. Good morning to you both. How are you?
We're a little bit late today. We had a couple of technical glitches and we are continuing to have them, but we're going to press through, Adam, because the show must go on.
Only an hour late.
Hey.
How are you, vice captain?
Yeah, good today. Very good.
Just for
day down here in Canberra.
For people who haven't listened to us regularly, Adam is an expert in memorabilia, star of the TV show Aussie Pickers, and tell them what you do now.
Now I run an online auction house called Evans Hastings Valuers and Auctioneers, coming out of Canberra.
Now, you've got a big charity do coming up. What's today? Today's Thursday. Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow night we're having a gala ball at the Southern Cross Club down here in Canberra for a fundraiser for St Vincent de Paul. I think there's about 110 lots online on my website, but I'm going to call a live call sale. I'm going to go back to the old school and actually stand up on a box and convince people to buy stuff they don't really want for a little bit too much money. It's going to be fun.
I love that. What's on?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, what are people buying?
Show us what you got.
So what I've got a 24 carat diamond tennis bracelet. I think there's 48 diamonds
gimme.
in the tennis bracelet.
How much will something like that go for?
Look, it's currently sitting at you can bid online on it at the moment. It's currently sitting at, I think it's at 6.5. I'm hoping to get 15,000 out of it.
Oh, did you say 16? 1-6?
It's 6,500 now, but I'm hoping to get around the $15,000 mark. It's a wonderful thing. We've got a Lionel Lindsay watercolour. We've got a signed Raiders jersey, and we've got a couple of experiences where you can, you can stay at the zoo down here overnight for the whole family. So just get on to Evans Hastings Values and Auctioneers, ehva.com.au, and have a look there. All the bidding's open at the moment.
Oh, I want to go. I don't have a spare $6,500 though, unfortunately.
No, it's going to be a good night. I mean, I really like these charity auctions. I just convince people to bid with their hearts, not their heads. People get, the wine's flowing, the beers are flowing, people get a bit of bravado and they always overpay the stuff. But the 100% of what goes through the till tonight goes to St Vincent de Paul. Evans Hastings are not making 1 cent out of it. We're doing it for the charity. So every single penny we make tonight goes back to the charity.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. Do you want to buy me a tennis bracelet?
Goodbye.
Hey.
Vice Captain, do you miss Aussie pickers? And is there a chance that they can bring the show back? Because I reckon there's a huge demand for it. And you were the serious star of that show. I'd love to see you back on the telly.
Look, if they asked me to do it again, I definitely would. It was a lot of fun. The open road and talking to people is my happy place. So I don't like to be tied down. I like to be out and about and talking to people. And the best thing about that show was talking to the people who own this stuff and like asking them why. What is it about these things that have driven you to a lifetime of collecting, and then why is it that you get up every morning and go searching for more? And they're all fascinating people, and they're from all walks of life. Like, it's not one type of person. People come from money, people come from nothing, and it's just that these people that love history and the manufacturing of stuff and trying to keep this stuff alive. It was a fascinating time, but yes, I would go in a heartbeat.
Well, Adam, we miss you on the telly. We love you being a regular on the Bonafide podcast on the Man Cave, and have fun at the charity auction, and keep us posted. Okay, can we see pictures of what you got?
Yeah, ehva.com.au. Have a look. There's a banner there with the St Vincent de Paul's logo. You can have a look. Have a look there. And, all you need to do is create an account and start bidding away. And just remember, usually there's a buyer's premium on something. That's how the auction house makes their money. So if you bid $100, there's a 22.5% buyer's premium, which goes to the house. There's none of that. You bid $100, your $100 is bid, that's it. And every single cent we make tomorrow night goes back to the charity.
Have you ever done a charity auction where the drink is flowing and it's encouraged to flow to get people to loosen up?
Yeah.
Where someone's bid an outrageous amount for something, maybe they're showing off for their table, I don't know, and at the end of the night they've gone, can't afford that. I've made a mistake. Does that ever happen?
It has happened in the past.
What happens when at an auction when somebody, and just remember, this is where alcohol's involved. Now, when we bought our house 20 years ago next year, 2007, where it was at rooms, it wasn't on site, it was at the Mona Vale Golf Club, and it was strictly no alcohol. We had champagne when we were signing the deal afterwards, when we won the auction.
Sure.
But it was strictly no alcohol allowed, and that was at that auction. What happened? Sorry, go on.
It does. It has happened to me in the past. But what you do, you try and convince them, look, it's for a charity, you've got to pay it. If they don't, you just go back to the underbidder and say, look, the gumboot, he's not going to pay for it. Do you want it at X amount? Can you take it? It's a bit of a running around. Because when I'm on the stand, as soon as the hammer drops, as soon as I drop the gavel, I've got staff to go up and speak to these people and get their details. So my staff have to sort that out. But, I mean, I've done some wonderful charity auctions. I did one for Jeff Fennick years ago.
Oh, yeah, the
Who's
boxer.
that?
The boxer. I love yous all.
I don't know who that.
love
I don't know who
you
that
all.
is.
And that was at a gym in Redfern.
The
I think
Marrickville
it was-
Mauler. He was known as the Marrickville Mauler, Kelsey. Look him up. Google Jeff Fennick. Keep going.
Yeah, and I did it from the middle of a boxing ring. So I was in the round. So I was literally like walking around, and what we do at these auctions is we create this atmosphere where I have my staff, we call them spotters. So if they spot a bid, they scream out, bidding here, sir, and people, it just creates a vibe, and people get really excited and they don't want to miss out. So it's all about creating this panic in people, like, shit, I don't want to make out, I'd better get it to start bidding. Instead of, because you know what real estate auctions are like, they're really slow. Like, you can go on for ages and you're only selling one lot. But when you do these charity auctions, you really want to create chaos.
I've always.
And panic in people.
You should go to one. You'd love it.
I would love it.
But you'd put your hand
No,
up.
actually, that's a lie. I wouldn't love it. When we were looking for property, I had to get Nathan to do the paddle for me because it is a bit nerve-wracking as well. I just wish I had enough money to actually be able to, like, bid with someone. I feel like when we were trying to, buy a house, like, we would put our paddle up once and get outbid, like, almost immediately,
There's two great sitcoms that involve an auction. One is Seinfeld, of course, when Elaine is bidding on behalf of Jay Peterson for the Camelot Kennedy Golf Clubs. You might remember that, and she pays way too much because she's trying to outbid her nemesis. And then the other one is on Friends, where Joey bids at an auction for a boat that he can't afford. They're two very funny episodes, so you can Google them. But
as the auctioneer, I will point out to you who's bidding against you to create that rivalry.
yeah, you want rivalry, don't
John,
you?
it's with you. Bob's going to come over the top. Now it's with Bob. John, are you going to lose out to Bob? And you just create this rivalry. It's a wonderful thing.
So you actually play the personalities and get a bit of pride involved and a bit of ego.
Absolutely. And especially at these charity nights, there'll be different companies on different tables. So I'll go and scope out, who are the two IT companies, and then I'll play them off against each other.
Perfect. Yeah.
There's a lot of work. The guy that taught me how to call an auction, he told me that you've got to walk through the room before you get on the stand, so you know who's who buys what, get the vibe and get the feel of it. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes on before just getting on the box and starting talking. Like you've got to do the groundwork first, and you've got to suss out who's who doesn't like who, play each other off and play them off against each other.
How often do you get so-called philanthropists who may have some great memorabilia and they say, I'll donate this for your charity auction, but you've got to reach my reserve first, and then I get up to the reserve and you get the profit? Does that happen often? Because I know of one person who does it.
No, we don't.
You know you're on camera, Luke.
No.
We don't play that game. If it's a donation, it's got to be 100% to the charity.
Yeah.
I know there should be expectations on stuff, but at these events, items very rarely fall short of what they're worth.
Yeah.
But it's the auctioneer is the magician, and you can make it happen. There's a news story here that I wanted your opinion on before I let you go, and I was hoping to get Graham Wynn, our employment expert, on.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I was just texting then.
Oh.
You've employed people. You've been in the workplace for quite some time.
Yeah.
This is out of left field, Vice Captain. Okay, so I'm throwing this at you.
Yeah, shoot.
You might have heard of this. There was a Brisbane city cat worker employed by an ASX-listed transport company, and she lost her bid for compensation after she was sacked for repeated absence from work, including racking up 114 sick days in 12 months. This woman worked for several years as a customer service operator on the famous Brisbane ferries, but she was dismissed in July last year after her boss concluded her medical condition precluded her from reliably working on the boats. In the 12 months to April 2025, she was absent from work on paid or unpaid leave for 114 days. Now, she says that she was unable for some work but was able to do other work and was happy to negotiate, but her boss wouldn't negotiate. There's a bit to this, and that there might be even more around the corner. 114 days in a year seems excessive, But you've got to see the whole story, I guess.
114 days. That's like a third of the year, right?
Yeah, is that a day a week?
Yeah, that's a bit excessive.
That's too much. That's too much. If you can't, I understand that people have ailments and illnesses, but if you can't perform the task, I can't rely on someone that's going to have a day off a week.
I feel like that's the company's well within their rights to, fire her, I guess.
Well,
Terminate, yeah.
what's the most sick days you've ever had?
I grew up with mum would not let me take a day off
I know.
sick. We were taught, you're sick, you go to work anyway. You're sick.
You don't let the team down.
I had pneumonia for 2 weeks before mum let me see a doctor.
Oh, you could have had your right arm hanging off by a thread.
Oh, 100%.
And she would have said, you got another one?
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. Growing up in a military family, like if you're not dead, you're going to work.
But this was the problem in COVID because people would say, oh, I'll soldier on. And the government was saying, don't soldier on. If you have symptoms, do not spread it. And I hate it when people come to work and they're coughing and sneezing all over you.
I know.
I hate that.
too.
No, get better. Don't spread your poxy disease.
I know, but then because mum has instilled this like shame of being sick in me.
It's called a work ethic.
I know, but like I'm like stuck in the middle because I'm like, I don't want to get people sick, but then again, I feel like I have to go to work because, how dare I not go to work if I'm sick? So it's a hard life, Luke, okay? It's a hard life.
It's
interesting, like we work in Evans Hastings. If you work a Saturday, you get time in lieu, right? You don't get paid, you get time in lieu. So I've been here for a shade over 2.5 years, and I've got 8.5 weeks holiday on my sleeve because I go in every single day. I don't take breaks. I don't take holidays. I even got a tap on the shoulder last week and said, mate, you've got to start taking some time off because it's, you've got 8.5 weeks up your sleeve. And what are you going to do with it? But I'm just the type of guy, if I'm not there, the whole place is going to fall apart. So I go in every day.
Yeah, but you still should take your, what's it called? Luke, you're on camera. Just pass it to me.
Let's get Rod Hannifey on the line. I want to see how his trip from Perth is going. I want to know how much diesel he's used.
All right, we can get Rod Hannifey. Adam, I guess that means Luke wants to say, see you later.
It's been
He's
rad.
very smooth, isn't he?
I want to get you.
He's very smooth. I really like the kid on reception. Who's the kid on reception?
Oh, Nathan, that's my fiance. Isn't he good?
Oh, he was very sweet.
He's good,
isn't
like
he? Teenager.
He looks like a teenager.
He still gets ID'd and we're nearly 30.
I know. He looks like a teenager.
I know.
He looks like a teenager.
While we're doing shout outs, Shane also wanted to give a shout out to Granny Sue.
Oh, we should have got Granny Sue on.
No, Granny Sue's been a bit sick.
Oh,
remember?
No. She's not soldiering on.
No, she is. She said that she's got a very sexy sounding voice. Yes, but shout out to Granny Sue and shout out to Nathan. We love you both.
Vice Captain, good luck at your auction. I hope you make a squillion for a very good cause and we'll talk soon.
We'll do our best. Remember, go to ehva.com.au. Have a look. Thanks, folks.
Yeah, the Vice Captain of the Man Cave, Adam McDonald, he was great on the telly. They should bring it back.
Yeah, they should. They really should. But what would you do it? Oh, you could do it on YouTube or something. Oh, you know what I've been watching lately that I love?
YouTube, yeah.
PAWN, Porn Stars.
Yeah, that's the pawn shop in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I love that show. It's so it's
all set up.
I know that's not what Adam does.
It's a complete
it's a setup, but it's so good.
And there are some really tragic stories behind the characters and the family involved in all that.
Yeah. Sebastian here, he said, boss pays out our unused sick days at Christmas. I'll be there even if I'm dead. And Corey said, I had 7 months off after a workplace incident. I tore the rotator cuff, but I was on work cover, and they are painful to deal with. What's a rotator cuff?
It's in your shoulder.
Oh my God, I thought it was a piece of machinery.
Nah, it's in your shoulder. So you see how I'm doing that with my arm?
Yeah. I can see how you're doing that with your arm.
The socket in there. God.
Sorry, I was like, it's either a piece of your arm or it is a piece of machinery.
Now, last Truckee Tuesday, we spoke to Rod Hannifey and he was in the depot at Dubbo about to head off to Perth with a road train, I think. Was it the road train, Kelsey, or a B-double?
Oh, don't ask me. Wrong person.
Anyway, he should be on his way back from Perth, and I just wanted to check in with him. Rocket Rod Hannifey in the Kenworth. G'day.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Where are you? By the way, Rod, we're live. We're live streaming for the first time.
No, second time. First time on Facebook.
No, very good.
We started a bit late because Luke's computer, of course, what's it called, Murphy's Law, just decided its charger to break. So that was lots of fun. Yeah.
So Rod, let's bring people up to speed. Was it a road train or a B double you were going to Perth in?
Yeah, road train.
Okay. Are you on your way back?
No, I've got one trailer unloaded and reloaded, and in a couple of hours I've got to go and unload the second one and then reload it, hook that all up again, and then head back.
Oh my God, Rod, Nathan's just told me, did we wake you up?
You did, but that's all right.
Oh, no. Rod, I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right, mate. You said you were going to text me or something and let me know what you were doing, and I did try and ring you both yesterday to see what was up.
Oh, we're so bad. We're so bad.
Don't stress.
I was up very late last night trying to get the live stream system working as it is, and that was a bit of a debacle. So,
that's all right.
All right. Have you had enough sleep?
Yes, mate, yes. And I'll go back to sleep. I've got another hour and a bit to go yet. That's all right.
What's the latest in the trucking industry with the price of diesel and the supply of diesel? What can you tell us?
I saw one place at Merredin had a sign up saying no more jerry cans or anything like that, but other than that, managed to get fuel across, although there was no AdBlue at Norseman. That worried me a little bit, but I managed to go to Kalgoorlie and get some there where I had to unload at a mine site. That was all right. At this stage, there is fuel, but there's a lot of trucks that are parked up normally at the big truck stop at Kewdale, and it was chock-a-block full of trucks because there are some who are sort of waiting to see what's going to happen and whether they're going to get paid, those sort of things. There is certainly a lot of concern. I've had a couple of phone calls with mates about, where's it going to go and what's going to happen. We spoke certainly before I left about people who have, credit ratings for fuel or credit limits for fuel. We wonder how that's going to affect them. But at this stage, coming across, didn't have any issues other than the price. And, of course, it'll be the same on the way back. So I think it was $2.95 was the highest I paid coming over. And, again, that's fairly remote. So there's got to be understanding that they get it there, but certainly they've had fuel.
As I said to you last week, I'd love to hear how much diesel, both in litres and monetary terms, will you use going from Dubbo to Perth and back?
I've kept all the figures. I've started writing it down, and when I get back, it'll probably scare you.
What is it now?
Oh, look, I haven't added it up yet, but it's probably over 5,000 already.
Wow. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Without diesel, the country comes to a stop. What are the truckies and truckie companies saying about the state of affairs as at today?
Look, some people are saying once it gets over $3, they're going to pull up unless they're getting paid because they'll be going broke very quickly. Diesel is always the second highest cost of running trucks, so wages are first. Diesel is second and tyres is normally the third one. It's an expensive business. It runs generally at very thin margins, and because it is so competitive, people are vying for the freight. And it is, look, at times I think it's pushed too hard. Like we want people to be competitive. No one wants to pay too much for anything, and yet transport is often seen as a cost. We've got to cut that back. We can make it. Yes, we've got to pay to make things, and they accept that. But then when you want to move them, we've got to cut that back. We've got to get that right down. So they'll push people. And I've said to you in the past, there's been too much of a race to the bottom. There's a lot of sort of sites now where you can go and put your load on and then people bid, but they bid down. Now, the cost of running a truck is expensive. If you're going to operate a business running trucks, then you deserve to make at least a profit. But there are times when some of those pressures means that people cut corners. They leave the tyres go a bit longer. They don't service the trucks. And it gets to a point where if the business isn't viable, or you're getting pushed that hard that then maybe maintenance doesn't get done properly, or you try and then cut your drivers' wages and cheat them. And we know that each of those has impacts on people and or safety, and no one should be put in that position.
Yeah, Rod, we've got a comment here. I put 600, I guess that's 600 litres, in my truck this morning, $1,850. That is an insane... Is that... I mean,
Is that
I guess
normal?
I wouldn't
You want to know,
know.
is that normal?
I wouldn't know if that's normal or not, but I just cannot imagine just forking out that much money just at the petrol station.
Well, hang on, Rod. If your Kenworth is empty and you fill it, 3 weeks ago, what would that...
1,500 litres. Oh, well, 1,500 litres I carry. One of our trucks that runs over here regularly, he carries over 2,000 litres, of course, because there's some fairly big gaps between service stations. So, 1,500 litres 2 weeks ago, it was, depending on where you bought it, $1.60 sort of thing, let's say, is an average cost, and now it's $2.90 in places. And old mate, they're obviously paid more than $3 a litre to get, 1,800 for 16 litres, for 600 litres, so...
Do fuel tankers, tanker wankers, can they fill themselves up with their load? Can they?
Well, no, the load belongs to somebody else. If you're carting your own fuel, like if you've got a load on that's going to your own depot and you run out, that's your fuel. But the company would still say, what happened? Why did you do that? So, no, they can't. The fuel belongs to either the fuel company being delivered or it belongs to the site you are delivering it to.
Yeah. Another comment here. Working for a beverage manufacturer, estimated per month additional in fuel levies we will pay carriers is well over 6 figures per month at the moment. Jeez, Louise. I can't imagine that. That is pretty terrifying. I don't know how that can't be sustainable, surely.
Well, it's not. And if you've got a contract that has a fuel levy written in, because fuel at one stage was a bit more volatile and it went up and down. So if you're running on a very thin margin to make a profit and you've got one truck, well, then the fuel goes up 1 week, okay, it goes down next week, that's fine, you live with that, you absorb that. But if you've got 100 trucks and this is what's happened with this fuel and you don't have a fuel levy in your contract, well, the people that you work for say, our contract says you will move our freight for this price. You say, but yes, the fuel went up. Well, that's not our problem, mate. Now, if they're going to be like that, the transport company will go broke and there'll be nobody moving their freight.
Yeah.
So, look, there are two sides to this in one way, that the cost must be covered. Someone must pay the cost. Now, whatever you cart, generally it gets bought or sold, it gets consumed. So the consumer is going to pay in the end. The problem is the gap in the middle. Whilst the price has just gone stupid and it's gone up so quickly that people weren't ready for it. And I did hear a radio interview the other day where a bloke was a service station operator and he admitted gouging. He said, well, because the price has gone up, if I don't put the price up on the fuel I have now, I can't afford to buy the next load of fuel, and then I won't have any and I'll have no business.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's a concern, but he has admitted selling the fuel that he bought cheap at a higher cost.
At the inflated price.
Yeah.
It is price gouging.
We just got an email here from the UK, from Alexander. He is letting us know that in the UK at the moment, they're paying about $3.40 per litre for diesel.
Pounds? Euros?
No, so he's done the conversion.
Right.
$3.40 Australian per litre for diesel and $2.86 for petrol per litre.
This morning we heard on the news that oil has gone to $1.08 a barrel US, and they were hoping it would never get to $1 a barrel. It's $1.08 a barrel US today. Hey, listen, I had a funny call this morning on 2GB doing the Boner Report. The bloke's name was Charlie, and we were talking about the international fuel shortage of the 1970s and the Arab oil embargo and the Iranian Revolution in 1979. And he said he remembered driving down Parramatta Road and this is when there was a massive, massive shortage, odds and evens and rationing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a petrol tanker was driving down Parramatta Road and there was a whole line of cars slowly following it. So to see where it went, to see what petrol station it went into. And this is what the guy said. It could be wrong, but he said he remembers it. And he said, but back in the day, sewerage was often hauled in tankers as well. And there was a case in the paper where all these cars were following what they thought was a fuel tanker, and they were following a sewerage tanker.
Oh, God.
Could that be? Could the sewerage tanker be mistaken for a fuel tanker? Is that a true story, or is there some mayo on that?
Oh, look, yeah, anything's possible. I actually had a phone call from a tanker driver last week, but he doesn't do fuel, he does other products. And he wanted to know why all the tankers were going through the tunnels. And he said, I thought tankers weren't allowed through the tunnels. And I said, well, did they have diamonds on, like the flammable liquid diamonds? And he said, no, they had combustible liquid. I said, that's right, because they're carrying diesel. Now, in America, diesel is still classed as a dangerous goods, whereas in Australia, diesel is not. So if you're carrying a full load of diesel in a fuel tanker, then it's not dangerous goods. So they're allowed to go through the tunnel. But I'm sure you've seen plenty of places where the tunnels have no hazardous loads and that sort of thing. So again, even a bloke who drives trucks still didn't understand what they might be carrying based on the signage.
Rod, we'll let you go. Go and get some more sleep. Look after that logbook. Look after yourself. We want to see you back safe and sound. We'll talk soon.
All right, mate. We'll do. Safe travelling to all.
10-4, good buddy.
10-4, good buddy.
Rocket Rod Hannifey.
Now, Luke, as you know, I've got a couple of fun things for us to look at that were kind of inspired by our audience. Now, you'll remember last episode, so on Tuesday's episode, we had a listener by the name of Armani.
Yeah.
Call in.
He dressed very well.
Yes, he dressed very, very well. We don't actually know. I
just made that up.
Yeah, what a surprise. We said that we would take his song and put it through AI.
That's right, because he read us the song and it didn't sell it. So, but the lyrics seemed all right. So you said, let's AI it.
Yeah, and see if it's gonna, if it's gonna turn out all right.
Okay.
I have done such things.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay, this is Armani's song.
And this is a song for truckies. So let's see. You know what? I've got to say, I rate it.
All right.
Let's listen.
G'day, gay day to you, mate. I know you might be a little late. How's it going in that lane? Did the kids drive you insane? I know you might be a little late, but that's no reason to give me hate. Keep it nice, keep it steady and straight. I know you might be a little late. Your boss will call and yell out. Late again, man. He says it loud. We are sick, me mom. We are desperate. Cause we don't wanna be late. The boss is a cunt and I get it made. But here's what I ask from you. So let's not become tonight's 6 news. A good looking man announces your dad's good pronunciation. You made sure to speak perfectly audible lost English with proper enunciation. He said, John O's family said farewell for the last time. Then a Sheila come on the telly, and it's weather for fast time. Where a man with a good face comes on the telly and says, he announces your demise, your demise. Your miss so sheds a tear and she cries and she sleeps with the neighbor. She goes to Bali with him for a tour, and you just sleep in the dead center of the town. Mate, I wish you would just slow down. I ain't the king of road, just a road you know. I was sad to see you crashing the engine blows. I'll be safe, please melt around my 42 wheels. If you came too close, they always kills. Just a dirty trucker putting food on my table. Got a fat kid who is lazy and an asshole. Just a trucker boy, you made I put food on your woolly shelf. You may let's be safe and look after yourself. I appreciate a little room, and when they moved over, thank you for your patience. Thank you forever. We are enemies, we don't gotta be. But you and me make our place to be. You will be a little late. Clock can't decide our fate. Not today, not tonight. We will keep it steady and straight. Watch my lane in the mains. of your supermarkets and shops. So move over, let me through to the job. It sucks that we think we aren't the same. It sucks that you're giving us a bad name. But I am the who delivered your car to the dealerships. It ain't exactly easy to deliver your frozen peas and chips. It ain't easy driving a bus or semi or Bridget or the B-double liver. Use pretend to not see that blinker and there's trouble. There's trouble. Guess what? I don't think you are my enemy anymore. My enemy and the creator of roundabouts, Frank Blackmore. Frank got up on one morning in Britain with a cup of tea and a crumble. He thought his design was efficient and humble. There's nothing but a golf-shot circle. Knows that you weren't the traffic oracle. In fact, that design was terrible. You didn't think about my longer vehicle. That's why your first wife left. Plus he thought the traffic will keep left. And probably didn't give her a good time in bed. Cause this lousy truck, he thinks you are a dickhead. He invented a solution for the traffic flow. You thought traffic would be moving better and not slow. Franco ain't got about the granny who is gonna wait at the ground D for a while. And the school zone traffic being backed up for a few miles. It's late afternoon and granny is still waiting for a gap to turn the wheels. And the sent trucky behind and got no chill. Beep, 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 grandma just getting the foreground day. I know you might think that trucky is an awful human being. Finally all the 200 cars tailgating each other from the right. Grandma finally gave a good fight. Grandma got in the circle a bit too slow. She got beat by everyone. She thought that was ghastly.
It's so good.
What did you think of that?
The bosses are what? And they got a fat kid who's lazy.
I know. It's pretty good.
That is censor. That's got to be a real person singing. How do they do that?
I honestly have no idea.
Isn't that amazing? And the backup singers.
I know. It's pretty good. But Armani, props to you.
Yeah, but that's really good.
But the actual lyrics are pretty fire.
Has Armani heard it?
I don't know. I'll send it to him.
You got to send it to him.
Yeah, it's good.
Kelsey, you're a genius. It's really, really good. But
I'm not a genius. It's AI that's the genius in this.
Did you know there's a movie coming out? What's it called? Just Google it. Val Kilmer's new movie, Something from the Grave. Anyway, they're using AI. It is Val Kilmer, all AI, and they're actually using Val Kilmer's voice through AI.
I don't know who Val Kilmer is. Who's Val Kilmer?
Well, he was Batman. He was the Iceman in Top Gun. He's been in so many movies.
Oh, yeah, that dude. Yeah, but yeah.
Just Google it.
I did, yeah.
What's the name of the movie? Val Kilmer AI movie.
Oh, Top Gun, Maverick, Tombstone, Heat, Batman Forever.
Yeah. He's been on all of them. But it's a new movie featuring Val Kilmer AI, Something from the Grave.
Val Kilmer is returning for one last film thanks to generative AI. In 2020, Val Kilmer was cast as Native American Catholic priest Father Fintan in what was then titled Canyon of the Dead. The actor's cancer worsened, preventing him from filming any scenes in the much-delayed film. Now, 6 years later, 1 year after Kilmer's death, The Doors star has returned to film, which has been the rename. Yeah, so they're essentially filming the movie that he started using AI.
And they're using his voice, but the AI Val Kilmer voice is going to sound husky because he had throat cancer when he started it. And so the character has tuberculosis to explain the voice.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of the movie? Just bring it back up again. Something the Grave.
It is called Canyon of the Death.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought
an AI version of As Deep as the Grave.
Yeah.
There you go.
I knew there was a grave in it. As Deep as the Grave. Val Kilmer's new movie. And if it's a box office, well, if it's released at the cinemas, could he win an Oscar?
Oh.
And will an AI Val Kilmer accept it?
A hologram. A hologram. It could be a hologram.
A Val Kilmer hologram accepts the Oscar.
Yeah.
On behalf of himself.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting close to that stage.
Now, just to wrap up, you've got a banger from the Night Shift archive here.
Yes.
That Thomas sent you. So when I was on the Triple M network about 9 years, I loved it. Had the whole of Australia to talk to. We got interesting calls from all sorts of people. I have no idea. I haven't heard this. It'll be a trip down memory lane. What have you got?
So this is from Darren. apparently. And this is
Okay.
a quickie caller.
The
Luke.
quickie was a competition I ran every night. And I would play a fraction of a second of a song, and you had to guess the name of the song and the name of the artist. And I used to try and make it as difficult as I possibly could, and we would give away prizes. That's where Jeff, the pest, came from. He won more quickies than anyone else. And we used to say, have a quickie with Luke. Or
Yeah, terrible name.
a quickie with... Anyway, that's what the quickie competition was all about. All right, this is Darren.
Hi, Luke. How are you?
I'm deadly, mate. How are you?
Oh, good, mate. Bloody, God, it's hard to find your number. I was Googling it everywhere, and I can't find your number.
Darren,
But-
you're talking about the talkback hotline.
That's right.
Mate, do you know how many times I say 13353 every morning?
Well, I don't listen to you. So
Well, why are you ringing me then?
Oh, because I know the secret song, maybe.
How would you know if you don't listen?
Well, because I heard it.
Oh, you do listen.
Son told me.
Or did you receive the clue by osmosis?
No, I listened.
So you do listen.
Oh, well, I did, yes. I had to listen.
Oh, you listen once.
I've heard it about 5
Yeah,
times.
Darren, you listen all the time.
I was listening.
Darren, you are a closet boner addict.
I was listening to Triple J, and my son said, no, you need to be listening to Triple M.
Well, you're better off listening to a station that other people listen to, mate.
Well, okay, Jai.
No, Luke.
Rude.
My name is Luke, Darren.
Sorry, no.
That's okay, don't worry.
My son is called Jai.
Oh, okay.
He's gone down to Canberra
Yeah.
because he works on the Kempsey Council,
Yeah.
and for some reason he's had to go down to Canberra to, what's he doing down there?
I have no idea.
He's doing a workshop or something, or having meetings.
Sounds fascinating.
Meetings.
Does he works for Kempsey? He would know my good friend Stephen Krieg.
Oh, possibly. I don't know him.
He's the mayor of Lismore. Anyway,
Can I just tell you something about that Swift?
The what?
You know the Swift stuff you're talking about?
yeah, Swift. This is amazing for someone who never listens. Yes, Darren.
Yeah, it costs too much.
Does it? Well, don't buy it then.
I mean, how much does it make? I want
it
to know.
It makes heaps. It'll last you a year.
Because you can buy sea salt. Listen to this.
Yeah, sea salt's not a fertilizer, it's a tonic. Okay? It's a different product. Sea salt is a very, very good product. It's a seaweed tonic. This is a different thing. This is a fertilizer. For someone who doesn't listen, you seem to know a lot about what I do.
There is a fishy sea salt that's come out.
Yeah. It could be Charlie Carpy thinking of. Anyway, Darren, don't buy it then, okay? Plenty of people are buying it. They're not going to go broke if you don't. It's okay,
I think
Darren.
it's too expensive.
Well, fair enough, Darren.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I wonder if I should send him some.
I wrote a couple of things down.
You've written some things down in case you forget them. Have you got your own phone number there?
I've got the phone number.
Yeah, have you got your own? I think you might need your own phone number there.
Anyway,
You might need your address as well.
okay, to tell them to ring you
Yeah.
with a secret song, and no one has. They're all too shy.
I'll tell you, if he gets this, I'll have the shits.
Right?
Yeah.
An Aboriginal. I was when I was about 19.
What's this got to do with the quickie?
Well, because he wrote the song.
Oh, okay. What's the quickie? What's the song?
No, can I just tell you this?
No, I'm losing patience now.
Down there by the river.
Yeah.
With my.
What have you done to me, Thomas? Did you save this one up just for me? You thought I was having a good morning and you thought, no, I'll stick it to Boner and just give him Darren at the last minute. Is that what you did to me?
I had no idea.
He was writing poems and stuff.
Yeah.
And he wrote this song.
What's the song?
He only got given.
I don't need his life story. I just want the song.
$5,000 for writing it. That's all he got.
That's a shame. What's the song?
$5,000.
What's the song?
Is all that Cold Chisel gave him.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. What's the song?
It's Cheap Wine.
No.
That was so good.
I think it was Thunderstruck.
Don't you love him?
I think it was Thunderstruck.
Yesterday you said it. Wait, is Thunderstruck AC/DC?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think it was Cheap Wine by Chisel from their East album.
Oh, yeah.
Darren.
Darren.
I've forgotten all about that. My mind has deliberately gone, wipe that from your memory.
You know, that was good though. You going, What's the song?
I just wanted to know the song. I didn't want to.
Would that have been at like 4 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like I could hear your patience
Draining.
Just by the second.
Yeah.
By the second.
So that's about it. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you. It was an experiment that Kelsey wanted me to do, and it's been fun because it's been kind of like live radio again, which I do miss. It was episode 91, and please give us your feedback.
Yeah. What time? Like, do you early, late, in the middle of the day? Not in the afternoon. Luke has put a stop on afternoon stuff.
I fade at 11.
This whole circus while he drinks from his cup. We're bona fide and busted, but you let him stick around. Through Luke's chilly meltdowns and his bulletproof head sound. Rod's yelling.
Amanda Rose is probably well known to many of you. She has a lot to say, isn't scared to say it. She has a number of titles. One of them is Small Business Women Australia founder. She's a media and policy advertiser, government and industry engagement expert, a mentor, a public speaker, and she ain't scared to speak on anything. And you often see her on Sunrise. I think usually Tuesdays. I've actually done a couple of Sunrises with Amanda Rose, and it's always fun, and you never know what's going to happen next. But she's joined us on the Bonafide podcast today. Good to have you aboard, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Finally, I've been waiting. Goodness.
Well, you and I actually spoke second time, face-to-face when I was filling in for Clinton Maynard on 2GB with the Straight Shooters segment. And I think that too was on a Tuesday. I can't remember, but it was a very different Amanda Rose that came into the studio. You had jeans on, you had casual, you had a cap on. And when you're on Sunrise, you've got a jacket and then you look very businesslike.
Oh, very. And because, it's TV. You got to be TV ready.
Well, you've seen me on telly. I don't care.
That's very male of you.
It's called You Get What You Get. Amanda Rose, you have an opinion on just about everything, and I want to hear it because, the more opinions you put into the mix, the better informed I think we are. And I'm a huge advocate of free speech, and I know you are. And I want to talk to you about, we'll get to it if we have time, about the Kyle and Jackie O drama, because I'm in radio and you work in radio as well, and the radio ratings come out later on today. It'll be interesting to see the influence that Kyle and Jackie O have on KISS and what will happen next survey when they're not there. But I wanted to talk to you about free speech, and I wanted to talk to you about Grace Tame. Now, the reason Grace Tame won Australian of the Year is to be applauded. She was incredibly courageous and outspoken and trying to encourage women who didn't feel they had a voice to have a voice and to speak up about sexual abuse. And that was absolutely fantastic. But a lot of people feel as though she's now swimming outside of her lane. She says that she is being silenced and that there's a smear campaign against her, and most of her public speaking engagements and sponsorships have now dried up. It goes back to the town hall when she very passionately was yelling to the crowd, globalise the intifada, from Gadigal to the sea, globalise the intifada. When questioned more about her opinions and all of that earlier this week, and the atrocities that happened just outside Gaza when Hamas stormed into Israel and took hostages. And she was asked about the rapes of innocent Jewish people and the taking of hostages, the torture, the murders. And she said that was Israeli propaganda. So she's lost some more friends. And she says that there's a smear campaign. Now, she's entitled to say what she wants, but there are consequences, aren't there? And if there's a brand, a product that doesn't want to associate their brand with those thoughts, they're entitled to walk. But I want to hear what you have to think.
Oh, look, I think people, we've been conditioned that we do have free speech. We've been conditioned that, yes, you can, you're, as a woman in particular, you can have a voice, you can say what you like until you can't, right? And this is a perfect example of that. I don't have to agree with what someone says, but I very much agree with the fact that allow them to say it, right? But there are consequences to saying certain things. Unfortunately, we live in a time where companies, and we see this not just with this issue, we see this with multiple other campaigns and issues across the world and Australia, that companies pretty much are told what they need to push, promote, who they want to support, who they can't support, right? Same with politicians. Politicians aren't independent. People assume they are. People assume if I'm voting for a politician that they're going to represent my community and I can go to them and talk to them about something that concerns me and they'll advocate up the chain. That's not how it is these days. These days, politics and often commercial entities are above them. They're controlled by lobby groups. They're controlled by commercial interests saying, you know, whether it's changing legislation or what we want you to support. And they just pretty much do what they're told. There are a handful of them, of politicians out there that are, you know, going against the grain, or they're asking questions. They're doing their job. Which is great. But unfortunately, as an individual, and especially someone with a profile like Grace, if she does something that a particular group doesn't like, they will literally instigate a campaign to shut you down, silence you, cut your funding. And look, it happens to multiple people.
Look at the Mad Effing Witches and Kyle Sandiland, and I've discussed this, the Mad Effing Witches, and they've gone for a few people. I remember when Alan Jones, who was untouchable on the ratings, said things like Julia Gillard's father died of shame, that she should be thrown overboard in the chaff bag, that Jacinta Ardern should have a sock rammed down her throat, and comments like that. Sponsors got scared, and Mad Effing Witches drove that campaign. But at the end of the day, don't sponsors have a right to say, I don't want my brand associated with that kind of broadcasting?
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, sponsors can do what they like. You know, they can say this is where I want to put my money or not. The difference in those scenarios, though, and I would say this, is that the men like Alan Jones and Kyle and all of that, they have money. They're financially independent. So when women get targeted, very rarely is a woman at that level financially, right? So when they take the hit with their ability to actually survive, to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage and live. The men in media, or the men that have a profile, often already have $1 million contracts. So when someone cuts funding or they get sacked from a job, they're set up for life. They can go and pick something else to do. But like someone like Grace, she's relying on, you know, speaking and other opportunities for that. Yes, sponsors have a right to do it, but it's more disadvantage to the woman who speaks out than to the man. And to, you know, essentially what you need to do is you need to outsmart the system, right? You don't tell people where you're speaking, what you're doing. You should have multiple streams of income. You don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing, because if they don't know who you're working with and they don't know what you're doing, then you can still have an income on the side. And if they, you know, impact you in one area, they're not impacting you in another.
But when there's undisputable proof of what happened in October, and the taking of the hostages and the raping of the women, to say that's all propaganda, shouldn't you really fact-check yourself first before you, to use the term I used earlier, swim out of your lane?
Well, this is interesting. So I always use I like to look at the broad picture, right?
Because she's supposed to be speaking for women. And what happened to those Jewish women was abhorrent.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you do need to fact check. But what's happened in society, what's happened in Australia, and I see it in America, is that people want you to fact check one part, but when you fact check another, they attack you.
It doesn't suit their narrative.
Yes. So the reality is, if you call out one group for what they've done and you call out another, all of a sudden one group's like, no, you can't call me out. You can only call the enemy out, who we see is the opposition, right? So yes, fact check, but fact check every single crisis. So talk about what happened to the Jewish people, but also talk about what happened to the Palestinians, talk about what happened to the innocent people in Iran, talk about what Trump's doing. So all these factors, but unfortunately, we live in a society where everyone's in their little groups, in their little niches, and they're blinded by what their own people are doing, and they think they're completely in the right, but what the opposition's doing is wrong. And that's where we're at. We're in this tribal mentality instead of saying wrong is wrong and right is right, which would simplify a lot of things, mind you.
I'm going to talk to Jonathan Kirsten, who's in Washington, a little bit later on the podcast about what's going on in Washington. But you just mentioned Trump. Has he bitten off more than he can chew? By the time this podcast is dropped, the US and Israel would have been at war with Iran for nearly 3 weeks. And the world's in turmoil. We have a world fuel oil crisis like we had back in 73, 74 and again in 79. Do you think Trump really has he thought this through? Remember, he wants a Nobel Peace Prize.
He's a megalomaniac. He has a massive God complex, and he thinks he has moral superiority. So therefore, whatever he thinks needs to happen in this world should happen, and it's justified simply because he thinks he's better than everyone else. And I think it's quite horrific that he uses terms like, oh, we just bomb them out of habit. Right? So think of that. Just think of that exact line that he used. So you're saying that you're happy to kill people and to destroy people out of habit, right? And that whole attitude of I'm going to, he bombed 8 countries in 1 year, the fact that he thinks I can because A, B and C. And he changes his mind, changes his story. 1 minute he knows this, 1 minute he doesn't. And then people are calling him out and then he's like, oh, he backtracks or he lies about it and gaslights everyone. It is horrific that people even listen to this man and think what he's doing is okay. He's more than bitten off more than he can chew. I think he's either being blackmailed into doing this.
By who?
I don't know.
Israel?
The Epstein files, maybe.
Okay.
But the reality is it's inhumane. Right, the choices he's making is inhumane. If you just track all the justifications and all the things that he's saying, even if you follow him, even if you're a loyalist and think he can do no wrong, for someone that says one thing and then the next day says another should concern you. Right? It should really concern you. The fact that he's not even looking after his own people in his own country, with the drug epidemic that's happening, homelessness, the suicide rate, the fact that, again, the Epstein files, it's not fully released. He tried to tell everyone they didn't exist and they do exist. So that pattern of behaviour is very concerning and he should not have any influence on deciding who gets bombed, who gets killed, or anything at all. He's
obviously doing a lot in a hurry because I think he knows he's going to get hammered at the midterms and he'll be,
Probably. I mean, I wouldn't put him in charge of making my lunch order. So
okay,
he shouldn't be running a country.
Okay, but they are our biggest ally, but he's not getting much love from NATO, and I'll talk to Jonathan about that a little bit.
Our biggest ally, he just told Australia, I don't care what you think.
It just...
Like...
I know. I know. But with every war, there are always, sadly, and I don't want to sound mercenary, but there are always innocent victims. I mean, you look at how many innocent civilians died by America and the Allies dropping 2 bombs on Japan to end World War II in 1945. So many innocent people perished. But the argument is, I'm playing devil's advocate, Amanda, but the argument is those 2 bombs saved millions more by ending the war.
Oh, see, that the whole, the means justifies the ends rubbish. He literally bombed a country saying that we want to get rid of the nuclear weapons or the potential to
the threat,
make them. Even though 6 months ago he said he got rid of them. Now all of a sudden they're back and he's doing it again. But then if you take a step back, what gives you the moral superiority to say that they can't have them but he can? And then Russia can, North Korea can, Pakistan can. So the hypocrisy and the double standard is mind-blowing. He just literally thinks that whatever he says goes and he's morally superior to everyone else. All war is bad. All killing is bad. But to lie to people about why you're killing people is horrific.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the midterms because, he will remain president, but he will not have probably control of the Senate or Congress.
I think he's losing a lot of popularity, regardless of what the White House Instagram page wants to portray. If you look at comments and you look at feedback, he's losing his own supporters that were massive MAGA fans are just turning on him because of his choices.
Well, they're going broke. I've spoken to a truckie who was a massive MAGA fan, massive, and he went from working 6 days a week to 2. Because
so what happened to the
because of the tariffs? He no longer has stock to carry.
That's right. The whole look. It happens in. I know it happens in Australia that during election time they will promise you the world, tell you what you want to hear. You know, really, it's a manipulation of people that feel hopelessness. It's a saying, "I am the answer, and this is what I'm going to do." But then you look at, you know, the walk, and you look at legislation, you look at changes they've made. And hang on a minute, you're hurting the exact people that got you in. You're hurting the people, the small businesses, the aspiring people that want to look after their families. You're hurting them all. So I think it's going to backfire.
Do you think
Hopefully it does?
Do you think he's smart?
No.
He's a good salesman.
So you don't have to be smart to be a good salesman. Anyone could be a good salesman, right? You can lie. That's what a lot of people lie when they sell. What we're missing is people with good character, people with that care about individuals and genuinely care about the small business community.
Amanda Rose, let's talk about the not just national fuel drama. I mean, things are really bad. And, of course, we had Chris Bowen, the Energy Minister, last week in Parliament stand up and say everything's fine, the deliveries are on time, nothing to see here. 2 days later, we're facing a national crisis. There is a national cabinet meeting going on as you and I are speaking, and we'll find out what was said in that meeting and what decisions they've come to later on today. But what's got to happen? I mean, to me, what's going on now is very reactive, not proactive. And we've had this problem in the world since the 1973 Arab oil embargo. And then, of course, we had all the disruptions in 1973, 74, and again in 1979 because of unrest in the Middle East. Surely we saw this coming.
I know. Seriously, a blind man could see this coming. Like, with everything happening, and this is what irritates me, regardless of which government is in power, is that your job is literally to not only look after the economy now, but to prepare for the future. Right? And the fact that why is this cabinet meeting happening now? This should have happened 5 years ago in the case of. So if you're in a company and you're on a board, you have a risk matrix, right? And if, you've got a fiduciary duty to your shareholders and to customers. And I feel like our politicians do not have that whatsoever. They just react to something in panic mode. They throw money down a drain, essentially, to try and fix something. They're constantly playing catch up. We need to hold them to account the same way we would a board and say, well, where's the risk matrix on this? What did you come up with previously in preparation for this potential risk? Because that's what it is. You're running a country. What are the potential risks that could happen over the next 5, 10, 20 years, and how are we planning for that now? And the fact that they haven't tells me either they're extremely inept or they deliberately wanted this to happen.
A risk matrix. And
yes.
and you know what? When you run a company, you know this. You have, if you're a public company, you have shareholders to answer to. And Absolutely. The taxpayers are the shareholders.
That's us. That's right.
It's us, isn't it? Which gets me to my next thing, and that's Kyle and Jackie O. ARN's a public company. Imagine being a shareholder to find out that your board approved a $200 million radio deal based on networking Kyle and Jackie O with the Brisbane and Melbourne. Now, I've been in radio a little bit longer than you have, and I know how it works. And I also know that Melbourne, and particularly Melbourne and Sydney, are very parochial. Very parochial. No one from Melbourne has ever succeeded in Sydney and vice versa.
Yep.
And lots of really quality broadcasters have tried. I mean, Lawsy, when he was at his peak, was offered a fortune to go into Melbourne, and he knew that his strength was Sydney. And he said no. And Darren Hinch tried. Darren Hinch, arguably a very good journalist and broadcaster, failed in Sydney, but Melbourne loved him. I know how it works. So when you talk about a responsibility matrix to your shareholders, who the hell thought signing these two to a $200 million 10-year contract based on them being successful in Melbourne? Who thought it was where were the adults in the room?
Well, where were the commercially minded people? So
they didn't ask me.
Well, as a business, you would pilot something before you invest in it, right? That is basic business 101. So you would say, I'm going to pilot this new service, new product, whatever it is, before I actually, decide to invest in it. And
fly it up the flag and see if they salute it.
Yes, they should have actually said, you know what, we're going to do 3 months in Melbourne, or we're going to do 6 months and test it. And then
Or run a best of at a different time slot and test it.
Yeah, and get KPIs before you invest in it. So to do a 10-year deal in general, regardless, is actually quite insane. Like that's an intense deal, regardless of the industry and so forth. But to assume that they would be as popular elsewhere without testing it is I'm surprised, because that is not a commercially sound decision at all. So, and the reality is, the board is going to cop heat over this from the shareholders, and then the CEO is the one that's going to have to deal with it.
What do you make of it? What do you think's happened? I've heard all the theories, and we know what's happened so far. He's not on air anymore. I tell you who's going to get rich, the lawyers.
Yeah, look, I think they were near the end of their time. I think the cycle was over. I think people were getting a bit tired. I mean, what you don't want is you don't want to end up with a show where you've got, people in 60-year-old, eventually, he's I think 54 now, but 60-year-old man, with teenagers as the listeners. It just feels odd.
Kids in cars. But can I just tell you,
young people.
I'll tell you something, Amanda. When we first moved back to Sydney from Bathurst in 2000, a couple of years later, I had the 2GB Ford Explorer, kind of like, a Black Thunder thing, right?
Yep.
And I was garaged, one of them was garaged at my place. And so I would drive the kids to school. And the thing that drove me mad was they could control the radio from the back seat. And it drove me crazy. And they would chop and change stations until the song they liked came on. They didn't give a rat's ass about the presenter.
Yep.
And now they have Spotify, so they don't listen to free to air. They listen to podcasts. Right. They all listen to podcasts. But my daughter thought Kyle and Jackie O was hilarious. They were naughty. They said things that were rude. She is now 30 and has no time for them. She's outgrown the act. Do you see where I'm going?
100%. But also we need to kind of do a bit of an audit and say, is this the type of person that we want on air now? So remember, it's highly competitive with podcasts. We've got niche listeners with podcasts. Very few people are turning on the radio. If they are, it's digital, and they're very deliberate with what they want to listen to. But I think also there's a responsibility that when you have the power and influence to be able to choose who is on air, that you pick someone that's going to add value, bring back witty humour, bring back, fun and engaging and educational type activities. It doesn't have to be vulgar humour anymore. And I think people are sick of it. I know Melbourne didn't buy it. They weren't interested. So I think their time was coming to an end, and it's an opportunity for fresh blood to come in. I'm surprised with the 10-year contract because of the way things are headed. We all know podcasts are probably going to take over radio. They are at a rapid pace. Even commercial TV is being replaced by YouTube. So really, if anything, it should have been a deal where it's like shifting them in podcasts or in a different capacity altogether.
It's going to be interesting to watch it play out. And just my personal point of view, or not point of view, my personal plea is usually with these things, you would know this, they're settled out of court. I'm hoping this goes to court because I want to be on the front seat and hear everything. Are you with me?
That's why they settled, because as soon as you go to court, you can get access to people's text messages and emails. And
you're under oath.
One big
and you're under oath.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
You wonder why Chris Masters' book Jonestown, why Alan denied it but never sued him, because he would have been under oath in court.
That's right.
I know.
Well, they settle.
It's usually settled out of court. Last thing, the South Australian elections. I want to know what your thoughts are. I got a funny feeling One Nation will do very well. Now, whether One Nation is a short-term one-trick pony or a protest vote, that's up for people's opinions. What do you make of it?
People are just sick of the two major parties, and they have been for a while now. I mean, this is what I find astounding. So many things that Labor and Liberal are aligned on these days that you can't tell the difference between the two. It's like, well, what are your differentiating factors? They need to be so extreme where people can say, I want to vote for you.
An alternative.
an alternative. And unfortunately, they're not. Both a lot of states and also federally. It's like, well, hang on a minute. When it comes to really key issues, you're voting on the same thing. If you go to look the voting records, why did you support Labor on that? You're supposed to be in opposition. And this is where Pauline Hanson comes out. Now, whether or not it's going to last or whether or not it's going to make a difference, I don't know. But there's going to be some shift. The Independents did it as well. The Teals did it with the Liberals. So people go, no, I don't like what you're representing. I'm going elsewhere. And I think this needs to happen for the two major parties to realise, hang on a minute, maybe we shouldn't be the Purple Party and actually split and be true to our constituents and the people and who they voted for.
It's going to be an interesting election to watch, and maybe you and I can talk on a more regular basis. Would you like to do that?
Absolutely. Love talking politics.
Just while we're in Adelaide, last thing. The cases of petrol theft at service stations is up 70%, 77%, wow. I think. And this has happened before when petrol's expensive or rare. People steal things, especially if they desperately need it. Do you think we're getting close to the point of service stations making you tap your credit card and pay before the fuel turns on?
Yeah, that's what they do in America. So it's nothing new. And, you got to understand that these service stations, they're usually franchisees, they're small business owners, and you're stealing from a small business owner. So you're stealing from someone who also can't feed their family if they're losing money and can't pay their rent. So I understand the distress of people. It doesn't justify stealing. I think that's horrific, but you are impacting a small business, not the big company you think that it's attached to. They've got to buy that fuel and they've got to, on-sell it. So, yeah, I think absolutely prepay for the fuel and then fill up, and it solves all that problem.
Or we might see the return of the service station attendant. Remember when they were service stations?
Yes, but...
No, you'd be too young. You'd be too young.
No, I remember. But the thing is, people, you can still fill up and they could just bolt.
Yeah.
Right? And the police aren't going after that many people. They're busy enough as it is.
Yeah.
So I'd say prepaid, done.
Yeah, I think it's probably where we're going, which is a shame, but there it is. Hey, listen, Amanda Rose, what title do I give you officially?
Look, you can call me boss lady.
That's what you're known as, the boss lady. If you Google amandarose.com.au and have a look. Hashtag boss lady. Amanda Rose, gee, it's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
It's always good to get as many opinions as possible out there so that people can, not just stick with their narrative.
I agree, 100%.
Talk soon.
Every corner, keep in time. So come on down to the man cave, where the good times roll and the tall tales play.
Another man cave with the Vice Captain Adam McDonald from Evans Hastings. He's got a busy week coming up. But also with us in the studio is the mighty Millennial. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. So if I'm the Vice Captain, what does that make, Kelsey? Is she the coach? I'd say you're the coach.
Yeah. I'm not really up with, train or wait, what is it? Is it a ship?
No, let's
ranking?
Let's use aeroplane terminology. I'm the captain, Adam's the co-pilot, and you're the first officer.
Okay, yeah, I can get him.
Does that work for you,
I'm
Adam?
telling you, because this plane's not getting off the ground without that first officer. I'll give you the tip.
Well, she's not only first officer, but she's also cabin crew. So she
Ground crew.
Chief stew.
Yeah, peanuts, drinks.
Fridge ciggies, which is
the ground crew, waving them in, everything.
Can I just tell you something? My daughter, Holly, is cabin crew for Qantas, has been for 11 years now, so she gets long service. I've got to tell you, people who refer to them as dolly or trolley dollies have no idea how hard the job is. It seems really glamorous, but it's bloody hard work.
It does not seem glamorous at all.
Oh, the uniforms look great and they look sensational. The Qantas uniforms and the Emirates uniforms are great, but you travel the world and you see exotic places. It is really, really hard work. And they have to do regular first aid updates, medical updates.
I get it. Yeah, I understand. But I don't think I've never thought of it as glamorous. Or maybe it's just because I've worked in hospitality and serving guests in a confined space
who are tired
in
and cranky.
The sky sounds like the worst thing.
And a lot of the guests are tired and cranky. and, most people are in economy, so they're cramped.
Luke, we get it.
And don't you think people change when they go to the airport? Like, doesn't matter what time you go to the airport, there's people having a beer. Like, if you got a red eye 6:30, then you're still going to have a beer before you go. So when people get on planes, they change.
Well, yeah, because the effect of alcohol at 40,000 feet affects you a lot differently to that at sea level. There is an argument. Do you need alcohol before you get on a plane? Because when you see those videos online of people acting really badly and being dragged off by the police and the Karens and all of that, 9 times out of 10 they're affected by alcohol. Alcohol seems to be the biggest problem with problem passengers.
Yeah.
Do you need alcohol before you get on an aeroplane? Really?
Of course you don't need it, but it's just another revenue stream. So, and also when you're on holidays, you're like in holiday mode, 6 a.m. beers is like part of the journey.
Yeah, but it changes your behaviour when you're on the plane. And then you got to line up and keep going to the toilet. Oh. But Holly, for the last few years, about 5 years, is exclusively pointy end. She does business and first class for Qantas now. And she reckons unless you are a regular business first class passenger, that you do it all the time for business, the people who do it as a one-off special treat, she reckons they're the worst. Because they expect everything. She said,
as you should. If you're paying $20,000 for a flight, you absolutely should reward it.
There's no need to behave like a complete asshole.
No, not act like an asshole, but reward it for sure.
You try a bit of everything.
Absolutely.
Have I told you about the first time Nikki took me overseas, we went to Thailand, and I mentioned on the radio, and this is years ago now, 2GB, I mentioned I was going on holidays and somebody who was with me in the studio said, "Oh, who are you flying with?" I said, "Emirates." Anyway, a sales rep heard the comment and said, "Oh, I'm the Emirates sales rep. I'll see what I can do for you." I didn't ask. So we got to the airport and they checked our names and they said, "Oh, no, you're in the wrong line." And somebody came up in an Emirates uniform, checked our bags in for us, express, and said, "Come with me." And we went to the Emirates. We went to the Emirates.
Interesting story.
We got an upgrade and we went to the Emirates first class lounge.
Wow.
It was all leather and walnut and
yes, we get it.
And Bloody Marys.
Wow.
I had a few Bloody Marys.
Wait, is there a story coming? Or are you just rubbing this in our face?
I've got to tell you, it's very hard to go back to cattle.
Don't disregard the upgrade. Just recently, I was out at Temora doing this online sale of the race cars. So I check into a local motel. Lady says, "Have you been here before?" And I said, "Yeah, I was here 2 weeks ago. I was working here 2 weeks ago." She said, "Oh, righto." So anyway, I went to the room. I was just in a little single cabin, and she came and knocked on my door about 10 minutes later, and she said, "Are you that guy? Are you that guy that travels the countryside buying and selling stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." She goes, "Oh, wow, So then she went away and she came back about 15 minutes later and it upgraded me in my room to a big king suite. There was a complimentary bottle of wine and then breakfast was on the house the next mornings. Kelsey, it's only a reward if you're not in on it. I say lap it up.
Oh, 100%.
Kelsey doesn't know this yet because she hasn't got around to editing my chat about the Oscars with Shane Adam Bassett. I said to him, "Were you at the Oscars?" And he said no. He said he was invited because there are so many overseas media that are invited, and he always is, but he didn't go because he's scared of flying.
Oh.
I said, so this was the 98th, next year's the 99th. He's hoping to go for the 100th, right? But next year, chances are he will have a media pass and airfares are included. I've put it to him that we send you.
Oh, no way. Why would they want me there? I know nothing about that.
Or he said if he goes, because he can request 2, he takes you with him to hold his microphone, his camera.
And to hold his hand on the plane.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Now, would you go?
Hells yeah, of course.
I'm in the process, Kelsey, of getting you to next year's Oscars with Shane Adam Bassett.
Oh, that would be amazing. But I feel like Sky News or whatever would have other people that they would want to go.
Well, he contributes to Sky. He's a contractor, right? And because he's a major media contributor here in Australia, it's like Trevor Long who goes to all.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he requests 2 and gets the 2 for next year.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Why don't
I'm
you
there
go?
with bells on.
Why don't you go and then actually, while you're there, go to Universal Studios and do a little LA report?
Of course. I'd be there with bells on.
Now, I'm going to have to fork out for one more airfare because your mother, there's no way your mum will go too, which will give me some...
Does Shane know you're making this a full family affair?
We'll pay for your mums. We'll pay for your mums. And in fact, she will probably want to set up the front end.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Before we get to some of our hot topics, I'm sick of this, but it is the hottest topic today. The latest news coming through right now is that Kyle Sandilands has actually confirmed that ARN has now terminated his $100 million radio contract. And he says he's not going quietly. According to the latest, he has released an explosive statement just now. This is just off the press now. ARN has just announced that they've terminated my contract. I don't accept it. My lawyers told them last week this would be invalid. And guess what? It is. Sandilands says in his statement. Let me tell you what actually happened here. Jackie and I had a blue on air, that's it. The kind of thing that we've done 100 times in 25 years. And ARN took the situation and decided to try and burn the place down. They sacked Jackie, they suspended me. They wouldn't even let me pick up the phone to call her or anyone else on the show. Then, and this is the bit that gets me, once they'd made it impossible for the show to go on, they turned around and said, "You didn't fix it, you're fired." He claims he said sorry to Jackie the night of the blow-up. When I said I was sorry to Jackie, I meant it, and I still mean it. But it doesn't mean I will stand by while I'm separated from the people who have listened to me every morning for 25 years. So I tell you who's going to make a lot of money out of this, the lawyers. But then the saga continues, and it is unfortunate that Jackie used the wording, in my opinion, I can no longer work with Mr. Kyle Sandilands, because had she used one extra word, her contract would still be open. She should have said, at the moment. She should have said, at the moment.
3 extra words.
Yeah, or one phrase. She should have said, at the moment, I cannot work with Kyle Sandilands. Had she included that in her statement, things would be a lot different for her. Yeah. And and the girl who manages her management firm has just gone bust and is in the hand of receivership. She owing nearly $500,000. So I don't know if she's being given the right advice anyway. But what do you make of this? I know you probably don't give a rat's ass about Kyle and Jackie O, but everyone's talking about it. What are your people saying about it?
Well, I think that just the words that Kyle uses is, I can't speak to the people who have listened to me. And it just seems that sort of wording just seems to me like he's got. I mean, we all know he's got massive tickets on himself, but it's just that wording. It's almost degrading. It's not saying to my friends or my colleagues or whatever. It's talking to the people who have sat there and listened to me. And it just seems a bit naff. I mean, did I read somewhere that he's thinking about buying the place out? He's going to try and buy the place and then sack everybody?
That's the rumour at the moment. But
I doubt it.
It's going to cost him $100 million. And who's he going to talk to? I heard that he was spotted talking to one of the Laundies who have just bought 2GB, but there are licensing issues there. They can't own 2 licenses in one cap city. So I don't know if he's got a lazy $100 million lying around.
He might.
He might. I don't have anything against the fella. I think he can be quite charismatic and charming. A bit controversial. You know, I've got obviously nothing against him. I don't listen to him personally.
Charismatic and charming.
He can be. He can be blunt and brutal as well. He can be blunt and brutal. I mean, you don't have a spot like that for 25 years by being a chump. Put it that way. You know, I've got nothing against the guy.
Sure.
I think a lot of it's an act, like World Championship Wrestling. We met him at the Acras that time. Was it in Brisbane? Or Sydney?
I don't know.
Sydney. And he was a really nice bloke, and he knew who I was, and we had our photos. I got a photo.
Yes, we know.
Well, I'm just saying he was a really nice bloke, and everyone
that's what I mean.
Wanted a piece of him that night. But if he was told by ARN to remedy the situation and then had his hands tied behind his back so he couldn't contact Jackie or anyone else involved in the show, so he couldn't remedy it, what did they expect? The fact of the matter is they signed an outrageous deal with the two of them, $200 million over 10 years. It was the most ridiculous deal in the history of wireless. Marconi would be turning over in his grave. And ARN said, here's a way out. and they have run with it. That's what I reckon.
Yeah. And also ARN's under a new CEO as well. So I think he came in at the end of last year. So they're shaking things up, that's for sure.
And then there's a rumour that he's doing something on 2GB. That's got to be a hoax, Adam.
No, he's not a 2GB guy. Not at all.
Well,
never know.
What do you make of it? Does anyone care?
I mean, throwing that sort of money around, $200 million over 10 years, that is just horseshit. Like, it is so ridiculous.
It is amazing. The other controversial issue this week is Grace Tame. She has come under fire for suggesting the rapes and sexual assaults of Israeli women and girls on that terrible October 7, the terror attacks, was debunked propaganda. It didn't happen. She's got to be kidding, hasn't she? So sponsors of hers have left her. Her public speaking circuit has completely dried up, and she says that she's being muzzled, and she says she's being censored. She's not. She can say... She, at that protest, that pro-Palestinian protest, she said globalise the intifada from Gadigal to the sea and all of that. Well, she can say what she wants. I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but she can say it. But there are consequences for things that you say, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're in a position like hers and you say stuff like that, like you've got to realise there's going to be fallout. You're going to realise there's going to be that shit's going to hit the fan and people are going to walk away from you because you do have a controversial stance.
And if you're going to say something like that, you better make sure that you are 100% solid on those claims. I mean, I haven't done any research into this specifically, so like I can't say whether or not these have been debunked, but if you're going to suggest something like that, you better have the receipts printed out ready to go to show people. But it's just sad all around because there's such horrific things happening honestly everywhere at the moment, and it's really shit to be like, well, this is worse than this bad thing, and no, this is worse than that bad thing, because there's horrific things happening on all sides here.
But how could you say that what Hamas did on October the 7th was propaganda?
Well, she didn't say it. There was a suggestion, and this also comes from news.com.au. So unless we're hearing it from her mouth.
I know she's been quoted on a lot of news services today. But as I say, debunked propaganda was... And that was also broadcast on ABC radio. It's on a number of news services today. And as I said, you don't have to agree with Grace Tame. She can say whatever she wants, but she's got to realise there will be consequences. And so people don't want to know her anymore. And so her meal ticket, her public speaking, has dried up.
I mean,
isn't it like the mad effing witches and Kyle?
At the end of the day, no one really knows what's going on over there. What we're getting told, the atrocities could be 10 times worse. And what we're getting, the information we're getting is watered down for our own sanity. Who knows what's going on over there? We're getting second, third hand news and images. So, I mean, you can think what you want. You can make your own opinions, I guess. But like you said, Kelsey, you better have those receipts stamped before you open your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason she won Australia of the Year, it was well deserved, and what she went through as a child is just harrowing, and she's very, very brave. But I think a lot of people believe she should stay in her lane and talk about and encourage women to come forward and speak out. But commenting on this sort of a thing, it's not going down well.
That is in her lane, isn't it? We're talking about...
Well, we're talking about the rape of innocent Jewish women taken by Hamas on the October the 7th, and she's saying it didn't happen. It's all propaganda.
That's not exactly what she said, but there was also... That happened on the other side as well. And there's actually footage of that.
There's footage of it, yeah.
Which I have seen. So, this is what I mean by you can't be like, these people acted worse than these people. Oh, no, this is actually worse than that. It's all horrific, It's all horrific.
It is indeed. The war in Iran, as Donald Trump got it wrong, he thought it'd be over in a few days. It's still going, and the world has a massive oil shortage now. I'll tell you the next crime spree. It'll be people filling up cars and taking off.
Yeah.
They'll be covering their number plates, going into servos. And I tell you because it's something that's needed, it's an essential. And when something's essential and it's either outpriced or very rare, people steal it. And you watch, I reckon it's the next big thing. People will be pulling into servos with their number plates covered, putting fuel in their cars and taking off.
Yeah. just put a fake number plate on, someone else's number plate, just stand there nonchalantly and then take off. It'll be true. I was speaking to a dear friend of mine who lives in Cairns, and everyone up in that part of the country are really nervous about even just getting things delivered because of the price. Like they think they're honestly getting panicky that the shops are going to empty, the essentials you're not going to get things delivered because it's far too expensive for the trucking companies to get up there now. Like I think I paid $2.70 for diesel this week. $2.70.
And that's while it's here. What happens when it runs out?
Exactly right.
Yeah, let's not get all like sensationalist and the world is ending yet.
Going to be Mad Max all over again, Kels.
I mean, the last...
Oh, yeah, Mad Max. Yeah, Mad Max 2. But gee whiz, people in regional Australia, what are they going to do?
I mean, this whole country...
like a priority system.
Yeah, this whole country relies on the trucking industry. Like, what are they going to do? Everything's just going to go up because of their cost of delivering's gone up.
So do we bring in a law, like they're talking about in New Zealand, and they've done this, where have they done it? I was listening this morning. Sri Lanka. They have officially today introduced a 4-day working week in Sri Lanka. And they've just sent schools, they've sent pupils, they've sent workers home, and you can only work 4 days of work so you don't use your car.
Hells yeah.
And they've also done this before in Sri Lanka. You can only use your car, certain number plates can only use it on certain days.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Do we bring in rationing?
If we need to, but I don't think we need to get all like at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like chill out. If everyone just chilled out for a second, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people can work from home, but a lot of people can't.
That's right. And I've said this to Rod Hannifey. You can't have your groceries delivered to a Coles via Zoom.
Exactly right.
What's this? Josh has sent us something. What's he got?
Yes, Adam, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at these.
Yes.
This is ephemera.
Yeah.
Love that word.
I know. It's a good word, isn't it?
Great word.
Don't you reckon ephemera is like, it's a name that you would name your kid if it didn't already have a meaning?
It's a pretty name.
It's a pretty name. So Josh sent us a message. And this is what he said. He said, "Hi, Luke and Kelsey. This one is for the vice captain. I have a 1980s Star Wars poster. And I have looked online to see what it's worth, but I cannot actually find this poster anywhere online. Maybe Adam can help me. I will send through some photos." And he did indeed. I will pull that up.
It's a pretty cool poster. I mean, you know me, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. That's quite controversial. But as I say, with ephemera, it's all about condition. And the condition of this poster is not A1. It's not fantastic. You know, there's some creases and in the image and the colours. But it is a very rare poster. Like you said, Josh, you couldn't find it online. I couldn't find it either. But, you know, Star Wars fans, if I'm selling anything to the Star Wars fraternity, they're the type of people that they have to have it. So for that poster in that condition, I'd say maybe $200, maybe a little more. But like I said, ephemera is all about condition, and that does have a few issues. But it's a great image.
Would you suggest that Josh put this in like a case, like a plastic?
A frame. Oh, yeah, I'd get a
case
frame.
and get it straightened out or whatever?
Get it framed and behind glass so it doesn't get any worse. But like I said, Star Wars fans, they're lunatics when they're trying to buy merchandise, so it's a good thing.
Okay, now, Vice Captain, producer Thomas has found some archival audio from the old night shift at Triple M days, and he's found one from our old man cave. I haven't heard this. I have no idea. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, good. Welcome. You're an early starter, but what did you want to say?
I was born Friday the 13th, 1974. I turned 50 when I called up, so I'm 50 today.
Oh,
hey,
well done, yeah, fantastic.
Happy birthday,
Dave. Hey, but also...
So there's Dave, 50 today, Friday the 13th. Right, first caller on the man cave. Second caller is Dave from Newcastle. Who's also having a birthday today.
Today, are you serious?
Dave number 2, hello.
G'day, lads. How are you?
What's going on in the universe?
My birthday, I was actually born on Friday the 13th of December, so my birthday's in December this year. But I was born in 1974 as well, so I'll turn 50 in December on Friday the 13th.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Dave, it sounds like you're another legend.
I'll go all right when I have to. Don't you worry.
Hey, look, we'll have to catch up one day.
If you can find each other.
I
wouldn't drive.
Not tonight, no.
not like that. But
hang on. Do you, Dave and Dave?
Yeah.
No, say that again. Dave and Dave.
Yeah, Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here.
Dave's not here.
Is Dave there? Dave's not here. Chich and Chong. Yeah.
Because Larry was about to give away some golf balls, some Callaway golf balls there from memory. That's Larry Canning, golf pro to the stars on the Man Cave on Triple M all those years ago, vice captain.
Yeah.
Kelsey, who was that guy that rang up and played the harmonica?
Oh, I don't know his name, but do you want to listen to it?
Okay, because we had this guy ring up. I wanted to introduce a segment which I want to introduce on the Man Cave, a segment like Red Faces on Hey Hey called What Do You Do? Or Who Do You Do? Anyway, it was on Triple M when this bloke rang up who claimed to be able to play the harmonica. But then if you listen really carefully, Vice Captain, he's had a few bourbons, a couple of Jack Daniels, I think, and he collapsed. You got to listen carefully. He falls over. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
Where's that, brother? There you are.
Now, I wonder, I want you to call back on Friday during the Man Cave. Have you got someone else in the Man Cave that can maybe accompany you on the guitar or you can play some blues for us?
Holy crap, I've only got, I'm not learnt to be John Lennon, but I've got a guitar in my knapsack.
Yeah. Can you play the guitar and the harmonica at the same time?
I'm trying, brother.
Like Bob Dylan.
Exactly like Bob Dylan, who I love.
Yeah. Oh, he's peaked. He has just fallen over, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I could have as well.
After all that breath, James has just fallen over.
Do you remember
Luke, did he call back on Friday for the Man Cave?
I can't remember, but he fell over. I'll have to ask Thomas.
Do you remember that fella who fell asleep and was snoring?
I had plenty of snorers. They'd be online waiting and they'd fall asleep while they're on hold. Yeah. And there was plenty of them. Yeah, that was very funny. Tell Thomas to find some of our snorers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw something labelled snorer in the archive.
Find that. Jeepers creepers. So why don't we start a segment? You've got to audition. Leave your audition on 0291289311. Contact us at lukebonerradioguy@gmail.com. Play an instrument, sing a song, tap dance. We've got to be able to hear it. Do whatever it is you do. Impersonations.
Stand-up comedy.
Whatever. Audition on 0291289311 and we'll find a prize.
You can send us a video too.
Audition on video and send it through.
Oh, we can start Bonafide's funniest video. Remember like Australia's funniest home videos? Yeah. We can do that.
So do that. Give us content and we will reward you. We'll shower you.
With praise.
With something. With praise. What do you got coming up, Adam?
What have I got coming up? I've got a great little art sale online at the moment. It's called The Works on Paper. It all came from one estate where I went out and had a look, and it was part of the public trustee where there's no family to leave these items to. So I went out to this little house. It was like a hoarder's house. There was thousands and thousands of paperback novels. It was dusty. It was dirty. But on the walls, you probably had $40,000 worth of artwork. So get online, ehva.com.au, and have a look at that. It's an interesting, very interesting sale.
Good on you, Adam. Vice Captain, thank you. A bit of fun this morning. Just good to let off a bit of steam, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but please, we want to see your hidden talent. Send us a video. Leave us an audition, and we'll make you a star.
I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye for now. Oh, did you want my thought for the day?
Oh, okay. Yeah, give it to us now.
Okay. You know how there's a saying, the early bird gets the worm?
Yeah.
It's the second mouse that gets the cheese.
What? Oh, the mouth. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
See what I have to work with. Folks, how do people expect me to soar like an eagle when I'm surrounded with turkeys?
Hey, that was rude.
Goodbye.